YouTube is like, I don't know, me and OBS are having like relationship difficulties. And you're like, yeah, well, you have a work relationship, so you can't just stop working.
Me yelling at my computer every day.
Hi, hello, and welcome to the
Hello.
second stream of the week.
What?
I know.
Heck.
I know. I can't believe it's Saturday. The
What?
day of Satyr. Satyrs.
Satyrs? Saturday?
We stand satyrs on this day. I'm looking for the stream slowly. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
We had a good stream. Oh, found it. I know we said it'd start at 2 o'clock, 2:30, but Ursula was like,
I lied.
Ursula thought I was going to take forever to make dinner, but I didn't take forever.
It was
I
so
just took
fast.
time. You living it up in the Hotel California. How is everyone today?
Yeah.
What battery attending a stream? Unheard of. Oh, battery is here.
Hello.
We have so
Welcome.
many regulars that are more like irregulars these days. That's fine. We'll just make new friends.
It's fine. It's clear you don't care about us. You know, you never call anymore.
All you do is just give money. What am I? I feel like I got like alimony from you guys, and it's like
Just child support.
a
The child is
hello.
our channel.
Wait, let me say hello to people, okay? Hello, Lavender Rabbits. Hello. Grace K. Hello. Ray Create Art. Hello. Hello, it's Monday. Hello, Andy. Hello, the Cheese Man. Hello, Doodler Can't Doodle.
That's a mood.
And yeah, that's it. That's all. We're having a tiny stream because y'all are a bunch of cuties who have things to do other than hang out with us.
Tiny cute stream.
Tiny cute stream. Oh my god, Lear has the he has it in his mouth.
Oh my god. It's like he's waving the ribbon like in gymnastics. He's
He
got a
has
little feather toy.
yeah, he has like one of those cat feather toys, but he's holding it by the stick. He likes chewing the stick, and the other cat likes chasing the feather so they can like entertain each other.
It's a good team.
Yeah. I'm sorry I fell asleep on the last stream. Ugh, don't apologize. It was a late ass stream.
It was.
Hello, Wickstrom. I can't get your first name. I'm very sorry. Hello, Tate.
Hello. Manica growling in the background. Like, I won't be on
Oh
our
my
stream.
goodness. Cats entertaining themselves. He's so cute.
Oh no,
Oh no, he
run into
spotted the other cat. She lives in a fort of tubes.
There's like we got a bunch of like those little they're like canvas springy tubes that cats like to run in and out of.
We just shove a bunch of them under like a coffee table, and like our one cat just lives in the center of all the tubes.
It's her little burrow.
She has a whole bunch of little escapes. Oh,
He just dive bombed into it.
yeah. Oh,
Came back out.
he came out another tube. Let me just describe what my cats are doing. What a very, very good stream.
That's it. That's the stream.
Thank you for all your amazing videos
Aw,
that you have done.
thanks for
It helps a
watching.
lot of people like me to be creative. You are amazing. David, you're amazing. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
What are better, cats or dogs? They, you know when you're designing a video game and you have to balance your systems and stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Listen, in this house, we're panpetual.
exactly. We like all pets.
All pets are good.
But yeah, like cats have their strengths, dogs have their strengths, and they also have their weaknesses. like that's basically it. And then different types of cats are better than different types of dogs depending on situations, you
Mm.
know?
Yep.
Lord of the Tubes, subjective, but I vote dogs hands down. Dogs are great. Some dogs, a vast majority of dogs suck for like smaller apartment living.
But yeah, it's hard to have a puppy when you live like 20 floors up.
Yeah. And small dogs are more expensive. Cats, Like here's the barrier entry to cats is just hold out some food and a cat will appear from the abyss and now you have a cat. Like it's pretty simple to obtain them. Um,
True, you can get a free cat.
Cats are way less needy. If you have like a lifestyle where you are out of the house a lot, cats cats can pretty much entertain each other. But I find with cats, the more you have, the more they kind of deal with their own situation. Unless they hate each other, but like dogs can hate each other too. So who cares? Um, but like if you have some cats that like each other, they just do their own thing.
Yeah, honestly.
Dogs, all my dogs, they love having other dogs around. But at the end of the day, they're about me and Ursula. They're like, we need human companionship, and sometimes like that's not what I'm willing to offer. Yeah. My small dog is super needy, sitting on my lap right now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dogs are super needy, which is great if you want a pet that needs you. And I used to always have this opinion that pets that really need you, that love human interaction, are the best pets. But then it's like after a while, I just have too many pets and I can't fulfill their emotional needs, and I just feel bad. Whereas, like fish, I like fish better than hamsters because I just don't have it in myself to like bond with my hamster and do all that stuff. Whereas my fish, they don't give two shits about me, and it's fine. They're
That's
just
kind of freeing.
yeah, and they're just pretty, and they do have personalities. They're like cute, and some of them are shitty whole serial murderers. But like, I like my other fish that are being murdered. So yeah, there you go. Hi, hello.
We do have just one awful fish.
Yeah, we do. He's the
So
alpha
rude.
fish, and he just beats the crap out of the other fish until they die. He's murdered all of the female fish, which is great. I love that because you're supposed to keep them in a proper ratio. But he's like, screw the ratio. I'm just gonna assault all the women until there's only boys left, and he's currently chasing another boy around. The worst thing about him too is when we first got him, he was a girl, but then he decided to become a male, which is a thing they can do, but they can't decide to become a female. So we had the perfect ratio, and then he was like, I don't know about this ratio, became a boy, and then just started murdering everyone. So, hi.
Toxic masculinity ruins the party again.
I have 2 cats and a small dog. That's the life.
Hell yeah.
I used to have 20 fish, now there's only 6.
Oh no. Did you have
We
the
really be
alpha
talking
jerk
about fish genocide is fun and cool. No, respect women's juice.
Right.
Literally. He's the worst fish. And what's even worse is like I have a really sweet beta fish who's never flared up. He did eat the shrimp that I put into his tank, so like,
There's that. He didn't know better.
he thought they were food. Like I don't blame him too much. But he's just a sweet little guy. He is so friendly. Like he comes up to like my hands when I'm cleaning and like rub up against them. He's just like a little dog. I love him.
He's
And
the
beta
best.
fish are supposed to be like the meanest boys. I guess they're mean to other fish, but he's just sensitive and small, and I love him.
He's a sweet prince.
Meanwhile, I was told that platies are supposed to be nice, peaceful fish, but these guys are assholes, at least to each other. They're not mean to the other fish, and the shrimp are living in the big tank now and not getting eaten. But yeah, I'm not getting platies again.
Yeah, no. That was a mistake.
If only it were that easy to transition. For real.
Yeah.
You have a trans fish. For real. I do. Yeah. Man, sex, I mean like male, female, and other in like the animal kingdom is whack. Like I was looking into bearded dragons. Have I talked about this on stream? I feel like I've talked about this on stream.
Possibly.
Yeah,
There's
but
been a lot of animal rants.
yeah, there has been. But bearded dragons, they turn into females under heat exposure, like in the egg. If their eggs are too hot,
Right.
they start all becoming female,
Which is bad because of global warming.
which is bad because of global warming. I love your voice; is super soothing to listen to.
Aw. lovely.
I'm glad you like my voice.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
I was told once that I'd be horrible for reading audiobooks because no one would want to listen to my voice. Hurt my feelings a little bit, but I also was like, I have like 15,000 YouTube subscribers. Like, I gotta assume that some people like listening to my voice. Like, okay. You guys have beautiful voices. Thank you.
Oh, thank
I paid a lot of money for this voice,
you.
By Charlie? No, it wasn't Charlie. If it was Charlie, I didn't care. It was like by my friends, and they meant really sincerely. But people make fun of me because I have trouble speaking, and I just put the wrong words in and just power through. It's like how I play Celeste. You just hit the buttons and you just throw yourselves at the wall until eventually you get to the other side.
Yes.
That's how I talk. Global warming be like, haha, trans lizard. Yeah. I think I think they retain the chromosomes that they had originally too. So like with certain lizards and birds, they have the reverse of like our chromosomes. So if you have if you're like you have chromosomes, heterochromic or whatever. What is it? Oh, there's a really big fancy word for it. But basically, if you know how XY equals, okay, I I respect trans people and intersex people, but XY typically means like male, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you will typically develop as a male if you have XY chromosomes.
Mm-hmm.
Birds and lizards are the opposite, where if you have the ZW chromosomes, you turn into a lady. You develop typically as a female. Yeah.
Heck.
Heterozygous. Is that it? Heterogenetic or something? It's not quite. What is the word? Because it would refer to would it be hetero haplo tropic. Let's see. Hetero XY
Because none of us are the cheddar biologists. Heterochromic.
Oh, that's it. Heterogametic.
Oh, heterogametic.
Yeah, okay. Because it's the gametes. Yeah, yeah, okay. Because the two gametes. Or whatever a gamete is. Heterogametic sex, digametic sex, refers to sex of a species in which the chromosomes are not the same. Okay. So, in humans and mammals in general, the males are heterogametic.
Okay.
But in birds and reptiles, the females are heterogametic.
Huh.
Yeah. Flashback to biology class. I learned this like 2 years ago, and I feel like I should know this. It's okay, Bones. Take your time. Heterochromatin. Me looks at my bearded trigon. Ha, a fellow member of the community. Yeah. So it's just stress. I think certain lizard species, it's if they're too cold, they end up developing into males.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's
yeah,
heckin'...
there's a whole article on this.
Oh, yeah.
I watched my first stream in my biology classroom. Wait, hey. It was a puzzle stream. Oh, right, the puzzle streams.
Oh
I still have a
God.
puzzle on my floor. I need to clean it up. That was a ride. Man, you can't stop me from talking about biology BS.
It's what he's living for.
It's what I do. It's what I live for. snake W chromosomes show different levels of decay compared to their Z chromosomes. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah blah biology. Blah blah blah. Bones McKay. Blah blah blah. Comics. Blah
It's
blah.
just usually what it comes down to is I'll read a Wikipedia article. Like that's the start of my journey. Or I'll be reading an article and I'm like, what's this word? And then it's like an endless. It's turtles all the way down with science words. Crustaceans and some fish also have ZW chromosomes. Are there species of animals that don't have like any sort of like X, Y, or ZW?
Let's
Like, is there like are there animals that are like entirely homogametic?
Arsalicerae. Entirely homo.
I'm assuming there are.
I would love a Bones animal documentary. Yes. Bones is my
What is a
weekly source of
homogametic organism? This refers to the sex of the species, in which the sex chromosomes are identical. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, this is a. I'm on the School of Biomedical Sciences wiki.
Whew.
For example, humans and most other animals, the females are homogametic. Females, blah, 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 males, heterogametic. Okay, what are we actually talking about? Entire homo? Yes. Trans fish. Bones is my weekly source of animal facts. Thank you. Lesbian lizard from Mexico called the whiptail lizard. The entire species is female.
Ooh.
I like that.
That's lovely.
It's really interesting, like, what defines, like, a male and female, right? Like, I think about this a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people are like, it just becomes, like, harder and harder to define. It's turtles all the way down, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, why do we decide that seahorses have male pregnancies? And like there's obvious reasons for it, like when you actually there's obvious reasons for it, but also like what the hell? What is going on there?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about fish pregnancies, quote unquote, is that like they don't have like a placenta. But there is one species of lizard that completely unrelated to mammals developed a placenta.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That is very cool.
I thought this was going to be learning comics, but we're learning biology, and I guess that's okay.
I know, this is false advertising. I'm sorry. I never know what we're going to talk about.
The
on
one
these.
with the bow is the girl, duh. Yes.
Oh my god.
To add something into the conversation, homosexuality has been found in 1,500 species on Earth, and the homosexual couples are very good for the species. Yeah. Yeah. Dogs are like 100% like bi and pan.
Because they're all good.
All dogs are good. Well, the thing about like most animals that are like domestic is they are ready to hump anything. And that's kind of the point, because like you don't want them to be picky about their partners. You don't want cheetahs. Like cheetahs, like they have giant ranges and they'll meet a male and they'll be like, he's not my type. And you're like, he's the only cheetah in existence for like miles. Like, please mate with him. And she is like, nah. But dogs are like, I mean, sure, okay, whatever you say. They just go at it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And like then there's wolves that will like go at it, but then the female will be like,
Meh.
she'll like do all the doggy foreplay, but then just be like, yeah, but I don't want to breed.
Power move.
Like you'll track her down for miles, like following her scent, and you meet her and you do that, and then she's like, because like most are unsuccessful as opposed to domestic animals, which are always DTF. And then we'll get mad. We'll be like, why is my dog humping everything? And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's why we made them.
We designed them this way.
Demisexual cheetahs.
For real.
This is not what I thought I'd hear today. Comic question. Okay, we'll
Okay.
do a comic question. After 4 failed comics, is it fine if I just start another one? Finish something.
Finish it.
Finish it even if it's bad. What do you mean by failed?
True. What does failed mean? Is it like you posted it and no one saw it, or was it like you didn't finish it?
Yeah. I just joined the live stream. What did I just walk into?
Listen, we're teaching you animal facts so that when you're world building, you have all this understanding about like the species of your fantasy world.
My dog tried to hump a pillow. I can't with him. The thing is, like with dogs and humping, it's mostly just play behavior. It's
Yeah.
like the human equivalent is like dancing, right? Like dancing can be really like sexually provocative, but not necessarily be about that. That's dogs.
Yeah.
Like I seen my girl dogs hump each other's faces. Like it's just a fun thing to do with your legs. So I'm like, okay, you do you.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to get all puritanical on my dogs.
know.
They're like a dog. Like
It's just a dog.
yeah. I can understand not wanting them to hump you,
Yeah.
but like ugh, who cares? I want to use this lizard idea in a comic. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like learning about like the biology of real life animals can be great resources for aliens because you're like I wouldn't even think of this when you're looking at like how crazy nature can get.
That's totally it. It's like, you know how they always say like the truth is like stranger than fiction. That's like animals.
Humping his dog twerking is not a hot take I didn't expect today. No humping in my Christian household.
Oh my god.
Demonetization crew.
You need to change the titles of these streams. We really should change them in post.
I like Ursula's chatting about comic work.
Listen. You should finish your 5th comic. Or go back and finish one of your earlier ones.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to do a smaller thing.
Ursula trying to bring things back.
I'm trying to save this stream.
This is fascinating material.
It's true. I enjoy it. I enjoy the animal facts.
Because, like, okay, most live birth animals that aren't mammals, they are just holding eggs inside of them. Like, they're not supporting them in any way. Like, I imagine, like, being a pregnant lizard is a lot easier. Monotremes are weird. Speaking of mammals that lay eggs and secrete milk from their pores.
I don't like that part. That part I don't want in my life.
Platypi and echidna, what are you doing?
They're living their best lives.
They're living in the past. Platypus.
They tried the new mammal thing and they were like, no, bro. Not for me.
Not for me. Marsupials are cool.
Yeah,
Marsupials are pretty legit.
they're wild.
Yeah,
Their babies are hardcore. They crawl up that tummy into the pouch.
exactly. There's asexual lizards that are female. And they have their kid. I think 3 people have mentioned these asexual lizards.
How come no one's talking about the Dino game? Like the the Dino Girl High School game that's coming.
That's true.
Why is no one speaking of this?
I'm not getting a PS5 for the Dino Girl game.
No.
Scalies. Scalies rejoice.
Yes.
I can't get into being a scaly, guys. I'm sorry. I don't think anything's wrong with being a scaly. I'm just not like super into like dragons and stuff. Like I like dragons.
Looks at Faria.
Yeah.
The sexy dragon lady.
Does mitosis. I have a clone now. I'm asexual and can confirm I can perform mitosis. I also can perform mitosis. I do that stuff all the time. I've also done some meiosis in my days.
What?
I know.
Powerful.
I make egg. You know what's weird is like in human like well I think this is like what defines female species, right? The females of the species is like you do all that thing, right? You do all that meiosis crap,
Mhm.
and at the end, where you would usually have like 4 sperm, you have 3 shriveled up little pieces of garbage that you reabsorb and an egg.
3 little pieces of garbage.
Yeah, that's what they basically just get reabsorbed
Oh.
at the end of it. One of them gets like all the juice. It's weird to me that human eggs are the size of like a grain of sand. Like that's way too big.
That's too big.
It's too big. Like, can you imagine if you could see your cells?
Oh, that'd be weird, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's one cell and you can like see it. It's weird. Don't like it. Wait.
What?
Is an egg a cell? Like a chicken egg?
No. I mean, it must start as a cell and then get more.
I have a question.
People eggs are too big. Ace, do your plotting. Do it. Bones, you're giving me biology class spoilers. You'll be ahead. Just imagine finding your egg one
An
day.
egg is a single cell.
Like the shell?
However, some animals have. Wait, what? Is an egg a single cell or multicellular? I don't like this. However, there's some confusion, mainly due to contradictory definitions as to whether an entire chicken egg can be considered a single cell. The actual DNA are confined to a small spot that is attached to the yolk. Okay. This is what fertilization happens. Eventually develops into an embryo. You might call this the egg. So wait. Depending on how you define it, okay, a chicken egg is either a cell or a container for a cell, or a container for an egg. A chicken egg has an egg within it.
What?
Yeah. Someone's very upset about that.
Sorry, I want to shout out to the person in chat who's called the Nico Romancer. That's such a good name.
What if children hatched from eggs?
Oh my god.
God. Having eggs sounds really stressful, like as an
Right?
animal. Like taking care of your eggs.
Like you just have to sit in one spot and keep take it.
Like this is
care
why
of,
mammals dominated. Like
yeah.
'cause that's way
We
easier.
took care of that.
Marsupials, that's some serious human eggs.
I feel like
It's a container, I think. Yeah, well, we can either consider it a cell or an egg within an egg. An egg holder. Eggs are just egg holders.
your egg container.
Yeah, eggs contain eggs.
It's eggs all the way down.
It's eggs forever.
Oh my god.
Imagine eating a boiled human egg.
Ah!
Oh
No
my
thanks.
goodness. The eggs of reptiles and aves is different from that of mammals. The eggs of reptiles is already fertilized. Blah blah blah. Where is mammals? I guess like eggs are kind of like a womb. Eggs are just portable wombs. Right? Is that the deal here?
I guess so.
Imagine if we made human eggs.
I mean, my womb's pretty portable. I can bring it with me wherever I go.
No, but
No,
like
I
you
know what
can't
you
pass
mean.
it on to me.
Yeah,
I can't
I
like
can't be like, here, hold this for a bit. I'm tired.
exactly. I like reptile. Okay, I don't like reptile eggs because I'm about to say something horrible.
Oh
Um,
no.
it's one of those. I like this. No, reptile eggs suck because if you flip them over, the baby can drown. The baby can drown in the
That's
the
sad.
fluid. It's like, what is this?
Someone designed this poorly.
Yeah, the bird egg is superior.
Mm.
Imagine like a little container of Tic Tacs, but it's hummingbird eggs. You just crunch them.
Oh no. I don't like that. That's
Forgot my womb in the car. Kangaroos will eat their babies. It's true. Well, like kangaroos can have like a baby in their uterus and a baby in their pouch at the same time. Like they have a backup baby in case they throw out the first one.
Listen, they eject the baby in the pouch.
They were just saying that. That's what I was saying.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Wasn't listening.
Yeah. This is why you don't move snake eggs. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, backup baby? Oh my god. Backup baby. Like, not to be too explicit, but like the kangaroos. Okay, well let me get some facts here.
Madoka, you're fine. She's just crying in the background.
She's sad. She doesn't like this conversation.
She likes storm.
I'm just saying that animals are like the source of like weird info. They have 2 uteruses. Kangaroos. They have 2 uteruses and a pouch, so they can be triple pregnant and have a baby in each enclosure.
Oh my god, enclosure. That's so many babies.
I missed some of the stream. You missed, not to be too explicit, but the kangaroos. I'm just saying, okay, the explicit part about kangaroos is they have 3 canals, if you get me. Imagine giving birth to a hecking egg that's bigger than a baby, which sucks. Well, if you lay... Okay, the thing about humans, okay, humans are stupidly large.
Yeah.
Like, that's our whole issue.
That's our problem.
Well, that's like our whole deal. Like, we form communities. Basically, the evolution of humans is we form communities to take care of the fact that we have such crappy birth methods because we have giant domes that should not be able to get out. And we would not humans would not survive if they weren't like in groups.
Yeah, like birth has always been like you need help. Yeah.
Help. Hold my hand.
Help, I am birthing.
PK is small.
Because we have narrow little hips.
I know about. We all know about hyena birth. We have too much brain. We do. It's literally that. There used to be an island of like a human-like species of little humans, and there were tiny elephants that they hunted. And I believe this species existed while humans existed. They never like interacted. Yeah. What happens with hyenas? I don't want to talk about hyenas. Like, it's too much. It's too much for this screen, the stream. How do you apply red herrings to your story? Liberally. I don't know. Like,
in excess.
they're usually just, like when I talk about ending a scene with like a yes but no and sort of thing. Red herrings are good for ask plots. For building up conflict. Yeah. Just don't make your red herring more interesting than your actual reveal.
Yeah.
That's the real balance.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you lead your audience on to think it's aliens, and then it's not aliens, and you're like, oh. I really have to go to the bathroom.
Too bad. You're streaming. Not allowed.
Watch a pup named Scooby-Doo for good red herring. Have you all ever taken care of a robot baby simulator? No, I didn't take parenting class, but people would. Mm-hmm. And I remember them showing up with their robo babies.
Yes.
Those are funny. What's a red herring? It's basically just misleading your readers. It's like if I showed up in the... Okay, back to the story from last week where you walk into the room and Fado was... we used to have cupcakes. We set up cupcakes, okay? We come into the room, there's cupcake wrappers everywhere, and there's icing all over Fado's little puppy dog lips. And you're like, he definitely ate it. But it was all just a red herring because he can't talk, and it was actually something else.
It was actually Ursula.
The red herring is that like the icing sends you down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta go washroom.
Okay. Yeah. A red herring is like in a mystery novel. You set up like a really suspicious person, and then it turns out it's not them, and they had nothing to do with it, and they're just hiding something else. Remember that scene in Series of Unfortunate Events where they hid some orphans in a literal red herring statue? But it was the actual answer. In high school, I had to carry around an egg. Oh no. Was that part of the parenting class? That the teacher took off points if the egg cracked? Huh. That would be weird. That's weirder than the robot baby, I feel like. Is having an egg with you all the time. Tamagotchi parenting class for advanced students. Yes. I never had a Tamagotchi. I always wanted one, but I never had one. I got 100% with my robot baby in my early childhood class. I'm a master parent. Hell yeah. Wait, do people do that? Parenting class is a real thing? Yeah, it's like in high school. It's like, I think it's part of like home ec. It's like a life skills course you could take in some high schools, where you like learn how to cook and manage household stuff and take care of babies. Yeah.
I thought it was just parenting class.
Is it? Was it?
There was a parenting class at our school.
Okay. I always assumed it was part of like that home ec kind of class. Huh. Okay. I guess there was just a parenting one. There's also
either write an essay or take care of a baby.
Oh, you write an essay or take care of a baby. Okay. But there are actual parenting classes outside of high school as well, where parents learn how to be parents.
There used to be driving school at our school.
Oh, okay.
Before us.
Oh, okay.
It was like auto class.
Oh, okay.
Where you learn to take care of cars.
Huh.
Yeah.
That would have been helpful. They taught us how to take care of cars.
Auto shop shut down. It's really stupid, okay? Like, it's an overcorrection. Sorry, I'm coming back.
Okay. Get back in here, sir. My high school had an actual daycare for students with kids. That's lovely.
My adult school had that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a teen parent and you don't have anyone to take care of your kid and you have to go to school.
Okay, so basically with like auto shop and home ec, like they're really great classes. Like home ec teaches you how to manage a home, and auto shop taught you how to drive and repair your car and do that stuff. I think part of it is funding was missing for these courses, but also the problem is they're super sexist, and we got rid of them entirely instead of just making everyone take them, which is the ridiculous part.
Yeah.
You know, because like I agree that it's ridiculous to make anyone who is a girl take home ec and all the boys take auto shop. But like getting rid of them, that wasn't like the answer, I don't think.
No, because auto shop is important for anyone who like owns a car.
I feel like
And
auto
home ec.
shop and home ec were replaced with careers,
Yeah.
which is like the
Which
worst
is
course.
useless. It was the most useless course I've ever taken. Everything I learned in careers class, I've learned is incorrect and not true.
Yeah, careers sucks. Home ec is like forever. Like learning how to sew
Right?
and cook.
Would have been so wonderful.
Hell yeah, sorry about talking over you there. I just wasn't finished. I wasn't finished and you were just bulldozing past me. What are you, me?
I was just gonna say, I was like,
Shut
hello?
up, Ursula. No one wants to hear your
Oh
BS.
my god! Is it because I
Sorry.
have a bad voice?
No, it's because Charlie's here, so I have to be mean.
Oh, okay. Charlie, you ruined my life.
Can we all take grilling and fishing classes? No. No, we can't.
You have to catch the fish and
Ursula,
grill them.
draw. What are you doing?
I've been drawing.
Throwing your tablet
Up to
around,
point.
whopping it up and down, up and down. Draw your stupid cats.
Guys, do you hear him?
My high school has like a bass fishing club.
Oh my god.
I'm just a life ruiner. The resident furry. The McKay and Grace Furry Scholarship. Are you gonna laugh at that?
No.
She's ignoring me to read the chat instead of ignoring me to draw.
Now I'm drawing.
Well, I don't care.
Watch our divorce on stream.
Where do you guys go? Where did you guys go to school? I never had those classes. We went to school in Ontario.
Yeah.
I didn't have home ec. The closest I had was early childhood for people training to teach children. Yeah, I took early childhood because I'm thinking of teaching art, maybe. Yeah. It's okay, Bones wrote them to be dumb. He's just stating a fact. I missed a crochet project in 5th grade. Our teacher told me to turn it in by the end of the year, and I still didn't turn it in to this day. We used to, like, in my middle school, we had home ec too, but again, it was shut down, like, the year before I came. So we still had the home ec room, which had a fully functional kitchen that just wasn't used. And we used it for French class. It was like make a recipe in French and then make it for the class.
Amazing.
Yeah. Did y'all ever have to take care of robot baby?
We just
That's what
talked
we're
about
talking
that.
about. I thought you were asking if your school had a robotics club, and ours did, where you
Yeah.
made robots.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also had a comic making club.
That sucked.
I didn't like it.
I remember you making well, that's kind of where we decided to make comics together, though.
That is true. It had benefits,
Yeah.
but the actual club didn't teach much about making comics.
Yeah. We just kind of started leaving and doing our own comics.
E.
Talking about school. Y'all really miss school in quarantine, huh?
Hmm.
School's fun. And terrible.
One of the groups played football with the robot baby. No.
Yeah, for us, the robot baby was like a final exam, so you didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. Sure thing, Juniper.
Juniper. We've been having actual June bugs, like, harassing our windows.
Yeah, and our cats are harassing the June bugs.
And so is Serena.
That's true.
She keeps chasing them in the yard.
Why is SpongeBob trending? Ursula, vamp while I try to figure this out.
Oh, sorry. Has anyone or was anyone else competing in STEM competitions? No, not that I know of. However, that is lovely if there are STEM competitions.
What's going
June bugs. I was such a narc. Oh no. Be Gay,
Celebrating
no.
Pride with the LGBT community and their allies this month. Oh, so Nickelodeon posted celebrating LGBT Pride, and there's a picture of SpongeBob and Cora.
What? Is SpongeBob gay?
LGBTQ, come on. We don't want to define SpongeBob. Maybe he's just queer. Maybe he's ace. Maybe he's envy. He's definitely gender non-conforming.
That is true.
I love the episode with him and Patrick. It's like a married couple for the is SpongeBob gay? Is SpongeBob straight? Real question.
I never even considered
SpongeBob being straight.
straight or
Yeah.
gay or dating anyone.
Sponges do reproduce asexually. I love LGBT SpongeBob. Agreed.
Hell yeah.
Squidward is like a stand-in for heteronormativity.
Yes.
He feels very repressed gay.
Very. I never thought about SpongeBob in this context.
No, my children. I didn't either, I'll be real. Huh. Like Squidward though, he's closet. Yeah, I agree. He's very repressed. He sees gayness in other people and he's like, I feel uncomfortable about this because it shows a part of me that like I don't want to express. Squidward is an old gay man. Very true. Squidward and Squilliam totally dated in high school. Yes. Oh, I can see it. Yeah, closet with internalized homophobia. Exactly, for real. Yeah. I can see there being some sort of relationship between him and Squilliam. Bugs Bunny was great. Man, these conspiracies are getting out of hand. No, they're just getting into hand. I mean, let's talk about Mr. Krabs and Pearl. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying Mr. Krabs is the best because he clearly has adopted a baby whale as like a single dad. Like, there's no mention of like a Mrs. Krabs by any means.
True.
So I feel like he just like on purpose. Like there's like an inkling of him that is less greedy. He's like, why else does he have a daughter? Like, that's my question. And like, yeah, that's what I think. I love this. Yeah. I love LGBT SpongeBob so much. He adopted whale. Yes, love. Mr. Krabs is a boomer. Yeah, like he's just like dad, like greedy old man and all that stuff. But like there's some like sweetness to him.
That's
It's
true.
like similar to Tom Nook, but Tom Nook is way less crappy than Mr. Krabs.
True.
Like I don't stand Mr. Krabs by any means. No. All the gays. Plankton is just in lavender marriage. Okay. Plankton, Karen, and Mr. Krabs, Polly. Because Mr. Krabs and Plankton clearly have a thing for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Plankton still likes Karen. I just feel like Plankton just wants to be in an open marriage with Mr. Krabs. Polly M. Tom Nook is a good man. Yeah, agreed. But Tom Nook also adopted too. Is just what I'm saying.
Right.
They're just capitalists who adopt. We stand our neoliberal king. This is a revelation. The only Karen I stand. Plankton has two hands. Sandy is a lesbian. Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Sandy is like 100% lesbian.
Yes.
Yeah. I never quite understood like Sandy's whole deal. Like, why is she living under the ocean? Like, is this a career thing? Like, what is going on there? There's a comic I read called Boyfriends, and it's about polyamorous relationship, and it's really good. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Pinhead. For once I agree with you, June. Oh, because she's a lesbian, that's why. Evading taxes.
Isn't there evidence of Tom Nook having a thing for Blathers?
I don't know.
It's like, it's implied that they're like close friends in some of the actual
I
like
feel like that's all of
lore.
Animal Crossing is like, we're friends, we're partners, we're
Partners.
rivals. Yeah, Red and Tom Nook,
Oh yeah,
they're exes.
for
It's
real.
100% real.
Yes.
Sandy is a scientist. That's true. I stand Tom X Blathers. Please don't do this to my brain. You can leave, it's fine.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tom Nook married to the fox too?
No, he used to be with Red, and now he loves Blathers.
Yeah. I think Sandy is a marine biologist or something. I remember her chimpanzee bosses or something visiting her. I didn't watch any like later episodes, so maybe, or maybe I just forgot it. I don't know. SpongeBob was like my childhood. So much SpongeBob. Like, what is that noise? It's just outside.
Yeah, neighbors doing yard work or something.
Yeah. So many cats.
Meow.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
I am a cat. Meow meow.
That's all the dialogue of 9 Point. It's just meow meow
9
meow.
9 Point is just angry gays.
Oh, for real.
I find 9 Point isn't queer enough, honestly. I know that the main character is like intersex, but like need more queer.
More queer, please.
Yeah. It just reminded me of the fact that someone is completely rewriting Harry Potter books because what Rowling has been doing. Oh my god. Okay, after the last stream, I don't even want to talk about Rowling.
Yeah.
I agree. Rowling is a turf. Spread the word.
Yep.
High and yeah. But I got too much salt last time, and I'm just trying to chill out because I'm really anxious about going to the pharmacy. I just get anxious when I leave the house. I was supposed to get better at doing this, but then no, sorry, we can't say that word. It's before the plague occurred.
Yeah, that's what I found. I found my social anxiety has gone like way up. Normally, I've gotten really good with social anxiety. I can handle most social situations now. Well, now it's kind of backtracked.
I was never into Harry Potter, so I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The fanfic all the way.
Oh, well.
Before the Backstreet Boys tour. Yes, exactly.
Before the Fire Nation attacked.
I'd rather just read LGBTQ folks' original works personally. No need to reclaim anything. I understand the need to reclaim some things if like it was a large part of your childhood or like upbringing. It's really hard to like separate that. I understand that, but like if you just want to get into Harry Potter at this point, it's kind of like, do you really? There's so many good books by LGBT authors you could support. Read Honeywells. New Kids on the Block, yo. Oh, God. I never read Harry Potter because books are for nerds. It's true, Sparkly. Harry Potter's okay, just pirate it. I don't condone pirating at all. Read Percy Jackson. Read books for adults. We're adults. We sip wine and we go, yes, it's existentialism. Ugh, I'm so tired of the singularity. Like, that's why I don't like sci-fi, as I find that it always deals with like the same tropes.
Yeah.
I'm not big into like the Blade Runner kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. You don't like cyberpunky stuff?
Oh, I hate cyberpunk.
Fair. Isn't that like just talking about the reclaiming thing? It's like Lovecraft, how like so many like queer and people of color like have started creating like Lovecraft inspired stories.
Yeah, because Lovecraft is like uniquely awful.
Oh yeah,
Like
even for
for
his
his time,
time, yeah.
yeah.
He was awful.
And I don't even like the excuse of for their time.
Oh no, it's
Yeah.
it's garbage.
Yeah. I once saw this book and found out it was an erotica by the first chapter. I've been scarred ever since. Erotica's fine.
Yeah.
It's just some of the tropes of erotica I find are more grating than the actual erotica.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's that entire subreddit of men writing women.
Yes. It's a great subreddit.
Yeah. There's like some really bad ones, like describing like children sexually. It's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find something. Okay, keep reading. Keep saying words, Ursula.
Lovecraft turned his racism into horror, and I can't come up with anything worse. Fair. Alexa Dunn has videos on why the publishing industry is too cowardly to publish good sci-fi books. I know in YA, a lot of people were like, it's really hard to find sci-fi YA books, and it's because a lot of the time, like,
I don't even like good sci-fi, so
yeah, but a lot of the time they'll be like, cut out all this world building, because in, sci-fi and fantasy stories, you need to sometimes build up like world building stuff to understand like the plot and the world they're in, but they're like, no, cut it out, just get straight to the character stuff, because like, I don't know, it's YA and people don't read, I don't know, but yeah, so that's a barrier when writing sci-fi and fantasy.
what is this not so appealing? Ladies, please consider the following. 1. Long straight hair gives you that witchy look. Facial studs and rings gives you that ugly look.
What?
Tattoos give you the incarcerated prison look.
What?
None of the above gives you that attractive lady-like look that men find very appealing.
Oh, good. Straight hair gives you that witch look? Excuse me? What? Okay, so I can't have tattoos, I can't have facial piercings, I have to have wavy hair
Yes.
or curly hair,
Yes.
and
Cursed. Agreed.
cursed, right? Ew.
What do you guys think of Beasters? Beasters is too edgy for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like writing edgy things. I don't like. It's. I don't know. It was uncomfortable for me to read, which could be fine. I don't really want to get into Beasters too much, honestly. Who doesn't? I thought it was like a compliment at first when he said the witchy look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hell yeah, witchy look.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I just gotta read these before because some of them are really dirty.
Yeah.
So, okay, you. Okay, I'm gonna read quietly in
Find
my head.
another fun one of men writing women.
You talk to the chat.
You just described every lesbian ever. Yes, they're trying to stop men from lusting after them. Hence the straight hair, facial piercings, and tattoos.
I got this gem via direct message yesterday. I call it pedo poetry.
Ew, oh no.
Pick fruit off its firm connected limb, that you may be sure of its purity. The fallen apples is consumed by him. Neglectful of the meal's salubrity? Let not the grapes sit lone, but supervise. Succumb, else they will to the wild's disease. Let them ferment under your watchful eyes. Did you just... this person just got this in DMs?
What?
So wine from them when drunk won't harm, but please, the growing girl is scarcely so depraved. Ew!
Ew!
Ferment her soon, her virtue then won't go. Old maids, however, cannot from blight be saved. Iniquity like plagues in them will grow. The girl you take should be under 16.
What?
The rotting woman never will be clean. What?
What?
What is this?
What is this? This is deranged.
Ew, creepy
Oh my
DMs.
God.
No, ew.
Oh God, if I got that in my DMs, I'd
Stop.
fear for my life.
Literally, what the? What?
What?
I got this as a direct message yesterday.
What? I like to think it came just unprompted.
What? I
Like,
have no words for
from a
this.
stranger. What the hell? Rotting woman, right? God, that's so gross. Oh my God.
Oh my god, the author's name is Against Female Rights.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Launch this person from this planet.
please, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna
God.
look at the top ones for this month.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe one that's less disgusting.
I couldn't read it in my head properly.
Okay.
Hey, are we not entertained by this disgust? Like, what is this?
God. Why are you reading this? There's a relatively new YouTube channel that posts medieval covers of pop songs. Yes, we've seen it. It's so good. I saw one that was like it was like party like remixes, but like for a medieval party. It was great. Launch him into the sun, right?
Right. I'm trying to find ones that are like less disgusting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I find women are very over sexualized in media, especially young women. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just DM'd me that they demand financial compensation after reading that.
I agree. I think we all need like money for the damages that were caused.
Don't come to
us.
me. Come to this guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
Like, I'm trying to find the ones that aren't like so sexually charged, but I think that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
What? Man reading women advice. There's just too many like advice things.
Hmm.
Are you gonna talk?
Sorry, I had to move a thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Glances at anime. Yeah, literally. Anime is terrible for it. It is.
Okay, what's
Yeah.
this one? Okay. Born female criminals. The reason that women commit less crime is that they are less highly developed than the male.
What?
They are more primitive. They have less scope for degeneration, regression.
What? What?
It's a quote from a textbook. I'm just reading the highlighted parts where they're talking about like what this person's work was about.
This is from a textbook.
It's from the actual context of it is born female criminals in quotation than males. The reason that women commit less crime, they argued, it's talking about like.
Oh, is it like old-fashioned views of women?
I don't know what textbook it's from. It's from. So for. Okay, I'll read the whole context here so you can cut. Okay, I'm sorry that your female intellect isn't allowing you to understand this, so I'll go slow.
How dare you. No! Cancel Bones.
Ferrero's work on the female criminal concluded that there were far fewer. It's talking about someone's work,
Oh, okay.
right? And my guess is this looks like a criminology textbook about the history of criminology, and it's probably referencing some old, really crappy opinions because
I
it's all
see.
in quotations, and they're talking about like what they're argued. It's like if you were citing Freud and talking about like all of the weird shit that Freud spewed, but it's in a psychology textbook. It's like we don't believe this today. Here's the degenerate BS that we used to think.
Okay.
Okay, that's the context of
I
it.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cancelled. Is this hearsay now? Too big brain. No AFAB criminals ever. Cancel Ferrero. Gosh, I need some water. Are you a mermaid? Yeah, all right. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to find the right way to like explain that. Yeah. I have a Freud book. Didn't read it, but I have it. Yeah. Oh my god, not Freud. Yeah, exactly. It's like we wouldn't follow anything from him, but we would like look back at him as a historical figure
Yeah.
as part of. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The giraffe study is messed up. The stream might stand the test of time. I don't know. We talk about some really weird crap in streams.
They really do. Let's go off the rails.
They very much do.
I like drawing all the souls in 9 Point because they look like little avocados.
Little avocados.
It's little avocado souls.
Are you gonna make like the souls in color?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas everything else is gonna be like monochromatic.
Chromatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
My brain was like monotreme. Like meat trees, exactly. We go off the rails quite often. I love these streams for that reason. Oh, bliss. What?
I'm sorry. Again, this one's like a little lewd.
Oh no.
But it's a girl hearing. Wait, what is it?
I have an avocado
Oh,
soul.
it's from It. Okay.
Oh, it's from It?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's pretty
Weird.
weird and messed up
Yeah.
and problematic.
It's just talking about how. It's not even a bad word. It's just nipple. Nipples.
Okay.
But it's her nipples reacting to anti-Semitism. Like that's the context. There's not much else to it.
What? What?
I don't know. It is extremely. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Owns your child.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
As
my
soon as I realized it
God.
was from It, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It as a whole is problematic, yeah. I remember watching the movie. I think it was the first one. Yeah, the first one where they're all like, it's the kids, and like, meaning of the remakes of It, and like, there's a scene where it does like, you know that shot in like, movies where it's like the male gaze, and it'll be like showing a woman, and it'll like swoop up from her legs to her face to like show off her hot bod, and they did that to the female, or to the 13-year-old girl.
ugh.
And I was like, ew, what the hell is this? This is so gross.
I just want to like side note to like this men rating women thing. It feels like they give more personality to like women's boobs than they do to like the women.
Yeah, it's true.
Like it's like their boobs react to things. It's like that girl in Mean Girls who can tell the weather with her boobs. It's like that's their understanding of how breasts work. They're fun to grab and they house the intellect of the woman.
It's true.
Exactly. Don't really care about problematic fiction unless the author knows. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of debates there. I don't want to talk about it. That seems too real.
Fair.
The boobs were sad. They're always longing and stuff.
Yes. They're longing, they're reacting, they're perking up. Like, the boobs have a full array of motion and emotion.
Exactly.
That is definitely, yeah, that's a characteristic of this like men writing women thing, where it's like instead of writing the characters doing things. It's like their bodies are doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that writing thing where people will say like her hand grabbed the tray of cupcakes instead of saying like she grabbed the tray of cupcakes, but it's sexist.
Okay, here's a quote.
Okay.
We seem to be stuck with these damn things for the next little while, and it's such a shame because I kind of miss seeing people's faces. Let me rephrase that. I miss seeing women's faces. Men can walk around in beekeeper suits for all I care. Oh, it's talking about masks and social distancing.
Oh, ew. Ugh. It's just this whole subreddit where it's like, ugh.
We're in
Gross.
2 different worlds right now. The male gaze was the first mentioned in Visual Pleasure, the narratives, and it's a very good read. My bobbies have more personality than me, not gonna lie. I'm flat. Does that mean there's nothing about me's personality? I'm sorry, you're basically a boy. I'm right back to the convo. Have you seen those reviews of the Court of Thorns and Roses series? The writing is whack.
Oh, I love the Court of Roses.
ACOTAR.
I love ACOTAR. I love it in a ironic / non-ironic way. It's such trash and it's my favorite.
All right, Ursula. Okay,
Yes.
Ursula, I'm winding you up like
Okay.
the salad spinner.
All right.
You
I'm
zoom in, you
spinning.
zoom in. Okay,
I'm
talk
here.
about the lesbian stuff.
Oh my god, okay, listen. This is my moment. Okay,
I hear this
so
all the time.
in ACOTAR, I was promised a lesbian through the whole thing. I was told one of these characters, she's a lesbian, and I was like, whomst? Whomst is this lesbian? It's not revealed until the last quarter of the last book. And the way it's revealed is that, okay, so the lesbian, this is big spoilers, by the way, so if you actually care, I guess don't listen.
You can't spoil this book. It's just smut.
That's true. It's smut with loose plot, bringing the smut scenes together.
Exactly.
So Moore, she's the lesbian. Through the whole thing, she has a boy who's pining after her, and she has no interest in him. He's Azriel. I think that's his name. He's like pining after her.
I'm just imagining Azriel from like Undertale.
No, Azriel from Undertale is way more wholesome and redeemable than this Azriel. This Azriel's
Okay,
just like
I'm imagining just like the evil Azriel that like
okay,
yeah.
yes.
with the horns and stuff.
Listen. But yeah, so this Azriel, he's like a little incel.
Okay, yeah, I'm imagining.
He's
yeah.
a huge incel, and he spends the whole time pining after Moore. She has no interest in him. In fact, she like will sleep with other men. Like she sleeps with his best friend to like make him stop, basically. And finally, Feyre, the main character, approaches Moore, and she's like, you need to stop being mean to Azriel. It's hurting his fifis that you don't return his feelings, and you need to like let him off the hook or something. And then Moore reveals that she's gay, and she's never told anyone that she's gay because they live in a really like sexist society, and and she
Please
tells
apologize to your stalker. Thank you.
yeah, please.
Stop leading him on.
God, even though she doesn't. Okay, and she goes on about how like she's been in the closet and how she had like a human lover like forever ago, and that human died, and she's really sad about it, and she's never told anyone. And then Feyre's like upset that she never told her. I was like,
How dare you never reveal this secret to me until now? You owe it to me to tell
owe
you.
it to me.
What, are we not real friends? Real friends would tell you their secrets about being LGBT in an oppressive society. Like, did you not think I would care about you? Come on. You owe it to me. And please apologize to your greasy stalker.
Right. And she's like,
How do I make this about me?
I think Moore even says like she doesn't want to tell Azriel that she's gay because it'll like hurt him or something. And I was like, no, no. I was furious when I was reading this, and like it's all done in one monologue.
Yeah, a six-page monologue.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and also I was so upset. So all the characters like basically pair off, and there's like soulmates in this world. So they all find their soulmate, except for Moore, except for the lesbian. And the thing is, there was an amazing character in it who could have been her smooch friend or something. She has like such lesbian energy, and that's Amryn, who's like this like monster lady who like drinks blood, and she's just a big gay, except she meets like some rando secondary character who shows up for like 2 scenes and is like, he's my true love. Even though he has no personality and no chemistry with her. And I was like, what the hell?
And then we give ourselves a pat on the back because we added a lesbian. Yeah, I'm diverse.
So
yeah,
diverse.
I'm woke.
Oh, there was also, there's one other gay character. He's a bisexual, and the way we find this out is he asks Feyre and Rysand if they want to have a threesome with him.
I mean, as a bisexual.
It's either like, well, some of the main characters, he asks for like a threesome, and I was like, oh no. Why do we do this?
The worst trope. There's nothing wrong with threesomes. It's just like this. All bisexuals are
flirty, promiscuous, and are only there for.
It would be just like a bisexual to leave you at prom. Just saying.
Did I tell you guys that? We were at our prom years ago, and I remember I went to the bathroom and there was a girl crying. It was like, it's so like a bisexual to dump me at prom. She came here with someone else. I was like, oh my god. Why do we do this?
Yeah.
As one lesbian and one bisexual. Yeah, I'm diverse. For real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Listen.
Oh my god, it's like the disabled character that is disabled and then gets kicked out of the series.
Oh, right. What's his name? Is it Kale?
Yeah, it's one of them.
Right. He gets disabled in one of the books, and then
this is like her other series.
Yeah.
A Court of
No, the
Selena Sardathian one, whatever it is.
Throne of Glass.
Throne of Glass, yeah.
Or one of the guys who used to be a love interest.
It's like if Jacob in Twilight, if Jacob got paralyzed, and that's how the plot ended. Like Jacob gets paralyzed, and then he goes to live in another country, and like his plot ends. And they're like, "Don't worry, we're gonna do it in a novella." And it's like, wow, what the hell is this ableism?
Right.
Like it's like, well, now that you're disabled, you can't really help the plot anyway. It's like, this is fiction. Like you can do whatever you want. Like,
right.
There's magic.
There's magic. There's elves. There's a castle made completely out of glass, and you're telling me that like a disabled man can't be part of the plot?
Yeah, and he's no longer a love interest, and she goes with some random person who hasn't even been built up to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen.
F in the chat. Yeah.
But yeah.
Eyes Tavros. Yeah. Oh my god.
Mm.
Like it's worse than Homestuck. Because, like, Homestuck is pretty ableist, but at least, like the disabled characters get to do things. Like, it's not like, well, sorry. Like, he literally is like, okay, I guess I'm going to an island or whatever. Character becomes disabled or are disabled. I don't want to play with you anymore. Yes, for real. I mean, he gets his legs back, then loses it. Yeah. Nepeta is autistic, right? Yeah, she is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, ableist language and, like, I don't know. Like, even I can pick up on it. And, like, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a big ableism problem in Homestuck.
Yeah. Hopefully in the future it's, like, dealt with.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I love her. Yeah, I love Nepeta too, honestly. I
I'll
want
have
to
to
leave
to
to
an
an island.
island.
Yeah. Barbara Gordon still badass after she got paralyzed. For real. I read an interesting article about like artists who draw Barbara Gordon and how people often put her in the wrong type of wheelchair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I feel really guilty of doing that too sometimes. Yeah. Well, it's because you'll put her in like a push wheelchair, like the kind that you would have at like a hospital, as
Oh
opposed
yeah.
to one like that would be good for your spine and you can push by yourself. Like you actually have to research like the very specific. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I was just reading like I okay, here's my writing tip. I usually go to like a Reddit like dedicated to like whatever group of people and like read their stories. And just like reading people, I guess there's people who like use wheelchairs like in our audience too. I've heard like stories from. But like the amount of people that like will just push someone else's wheelchair
Yeah.
like without prompting or like move them away like their furniture is like ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like like I can't even fathom doing that to someone.
Right.
Like
Like it's so disrespectful.
yeah. Have you read the epilogues? I have not. John is trans in one timeline. Yeah, it's neat. Yeah. Because of the Toblerone, right? John is now trans.
Yeah.
Or I guess June is trans, sorry. Um June.
I didn't even think.
Yeah. Oh. Do you consider Thop
Or Toph.
Thop Thop from I can't say because I'm not a blind person, right?
Yeah.
But she's pretty good rap. Like, it's important. Like, from what I understand from my like my my able-bodied life, um, I guess what I tend to do is like I try to like put things into the perspective of like as a trans person and like try to find parallels to like situations because I know they won't entirely mask onto each other, but like you can find similarities in like the
Mhm.
feelings, I guess. And um like it's important because like as a trans person, it's important to like write stories that respect like the trans experience. Like they don't deny the harsh realities of like what it can be to be a trans person, but without being in a way that's like really uh like without being in a way that's like reveling in like transphobia where it's like you're just kind of having fun playing through your transphobia against like a trans person, like things like Boys Don't Cry where it's like look at the horrible experience of being trans. Like let your trans people like exist and have good lives and stuff, but on the other end of the spectrum, aside from cases where you're making a world yourself, it can feel really odd when you're writing a story and you don't when you erase all the struggle about being trans.
Mhm.
Like there's a phrase in writing where it's like I don't want all I don't want to write a gay character. I just want to write a character that happens to be gay. And the issue with that, while I think we need stories like that, the issue of constantly doing that create it kind of erases the struggle of being gay. Like
Mhm.
I understand in a lot of situations now you can just kind of be gay and that's your life, and like being gay isn't the focal point of your life, but it definitely informs parts of you as a person
Oh yeah.
because you we live in a society, and things where it's like yeah, I just happen to be trans. It's like it just doesn't happen. Like there's effects of being trans, and it kind of reminds me of like the like I don't see color argument
Mm.
aspect of things, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
What?
it kind of like dismisses the actual struggle of like say gay people or trans people.
Yeah, and I think another side chunk to it is like when cis people read all that stuff, like it kind of informs your perspective reality, and you're like, well, trans people are just people, which is true and good, but it also gives this false notion in people's heads where they're like, well, trans people are equal, everything is good. Meanwhile, like trans people medical rights were like erased yesterday,
Yeah.
like in the States. Like I think there's some responsibility as an author to acknowledge the hardship of being marginalized without making it all about that, and that being the only story you're allowed to tell about marginalized groups, because that's the whole other end of the expression.
Yes, where it's always like a tragic story. If
You're
it's
not
like,
just passively trans.
yeah.
Exactly. And in the same way, you're not just passively disabled. You live in an ableist society unless you're writing a story that is explicitly non-ableist somehow, or like non-transphobic. Like that's fine.
Mhm.
I don't think you're you have to write stories where you write a transphobic society, but being trans is going to inform your reality. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's bad though, cause bro John. Sorry, I don't even. I wasn't reading all your things. I just want to write a story where everyone is happy in themselves. I think those are valid too,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to acknowledge that there is differences in people, and like that doesn't mean they can't be happy. It just means it's something. It's just a fact of life.
I think it's also very different, like the context of like who the author is.
That's true.
Because if it's like, say you're a trans person and you're like, I want to write a book series where everyone is trans and it's, you know, the trans experience is different because of that. I think that's valid.
Yeah. Well, I also don't want cis people digging into the trans experience or
That
whatever.
too.
It's just like you want your characters to feel trans. It's just
Yes.
they,
Yeah.
you want that kind of stuff. You don't want to just erase their experiences, but at the same time, you don't want to sit down and like a lot of things do, where it's like you have the cis characters solve all the trans problems for like your side trans character either.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same mindset that gets rid of. If I want to get rid of the dislike button, I just want everyone to be happy. Yeah, like it's fine to write happy stories. Like for the, you don't have to be blatantly transphobic all the time, but like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Honeywell's like I don't think the major part of it is about him being trans, but there's definitely moments of transphobia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like actually with going back to Sarah J. Maas's like ACOTAR series, it's a world where like it's like extremely sexist against like women.
Mhm.
Where like women get like murdered and assaulted and it's just like totally the norm. There's like no women monarchs at all in the society. Like it's always the men, and the main character is like the first woman high lord or whatever. And like on one hand, I understand how like it's very empowering because most of the characters are like female, and so they get to like rise up against the patriarchy and stuff, and that's awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people find it very empowering and cool. And there's parts of it that I found like fun and empowering, but for the most part, I was just like, it feels like it just felt dirty in some points. It felt like misery porn.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. June's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh right, I forgot
I
about
have a few
June.
trans characters, but I just the whole real struggle is not my place to speak on. I think I don't know how to explain it. No, totally. I read a really good article about blackface in like um and kind of like its more modern forms. Um, and I could kind of like again, I always just go back to the trans thing so that like I can speak a little more like authoritatively, I guess. Not authority. You know what I mean? Where it's just like I don't want to speak on behalf of someone else. But like I'd have to find it. I was meant to retweet it and I didn't. I feel bad. But it was talking about how there's always like white people have always written for black people, right?
Hmm.
Because publishing exists in a society. And it went back through like the really racist early depictions of black people, and then it talked a lot about like the current state of publishing and how whitewashed everything is, and how there's only really specific stories that you're allowed to tell about black people,
Hmm.
right? And I feel that as a trans person, where cis people really like to write these kind of crappy stories about trans people having a hard time, and it feels really shitty that all cis people have an interest in is reading stories about trans people suffering, and this is the story that they like to write. And like I can totally see that, where like the stories that you get like have all these stereotypes, and then if you as a trans person try to write something different, um or like I guess as a black person, like they were saying, like you try to write something outside of like the designated black story, the designated trans story, the designated gay story, like the ones you're allowed to write, like they don't think that that's real because this outside group has created the idea of what you are, and like your own stories are no longer valid. And like the solution to that isn't to have white people write better stories for black people, it's like to uplift like black voices, uplift trans voices. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is someone on a Zoom meeting with the other Seattle marketing managers wearing blackface, and none of them said anything. Oh my
Oh
god.
God.
Yeah, it's always good to refer to your friends or strangers. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting article. If I can find it again, I'd probably retweet it.
Mm-hmm.
I just make all characters suffer equally. Yeah. That's fair, but I think you also need to like think about like how you make them suffer
Mm-hmm.
too. Cuz like I guess from the woman angle, like let's talk about the minority of women, because like women are kind of like a oppressed group. Like if you okay, let's get real graphic here. If you
Okay.
dismember every single character, but with the woman you do it in a sexual way, that's still misogyny, you
Yeah.
know? That's still crappy. Like it still falls into like the way that women are allowed to be portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if you do some transphobic violence against a trans person is different than like chopping people's fingers off, you know? If you
Mm-hmm.
chopped everyone's fingers off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that cis people should just not write trans because it isn't their place, or should they write them to be worse? I think you should. I think as a cis person, it's good to add trans characters. That's fine. It's good to get get trans people to look over your work and make note of any like casual transphobia within it. Um, and like I would definitely stop yourself from telling these trans narratives of like discovering someone's trans or someone discovering that they're trans, like these larger like I don't know, the avoid the stereotypical stories, avoid delving in to stories about what it means to be trans, because I don't think that's like your place to tell those stories, and definitely um up like bolster the voice of trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's a lot harder to get your story told like as a trans person. Um yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to get into publishing if you're not straight white or cis
Yeah.
like those are the things that helps you in the door. Like I forgot who was talking, but she submitted her book and it was denied because they already had a quinceanera book.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're not allowed to have two of those, but we can have like a million like white stories and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
minority people should tell their stories. Cis people should normalize diversity into the mainstream. Yeah,
Yep.
for real. They can
Exactly.
write them, but they should talk to the trans community. Yeah, it's hard because like not all the trans community is going to agree on things by any means.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, like, yeah, just avoid being a putz about it. You're gonna make mistakes. The real, I think the real test is whether or not you learn from them. Like, I won't judge people for making one or two mistakes. Like, I really appreciate like trans representation. Like, I'm gonna critique it, but I do appreciate the efforts that a lot of people have put in.
Hmm. Yep.
That said, I was disappointed in the Cassandra Clare collection. Like, oh, this is like a perfect example actually
Yeah.
of what I'm talking about. So there was a collection of Shadowhunter stories, and in one of them it introduced the first trans genderqueer character,
Yeah.
and this short story collection was set in Cassandra Clare's universe, but she got a whole bunch of other writers to write it. Um, and I understand it's important to put big names within your story. However, like, why didn't they get a trans person to write? Like, why didn't they get a non-binary person to write this story about a non-binary character
Yeah.
when you had the perfect chance to uplift a voice that like would have been struggling to get into publishing? Because
Yeah.
there's plenty of great non-binary writers that could have filled that role,
Yep. And it
especially if it's like
sounds.
open up as an anthology and you can still have the big name storytellers on it, which helps lift everyone up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Because it sounds like from the acknowledgments that they consulted a trans person,
Yeah, which is good.
which is good. But yeah, they had an opportunity to uplift trans voices and they didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be, yeah, that's my point of like contention
Yeah.
with that.
And it sucks because, like, reading the story, it felt like it was a pretty good representation of a genderqueer character.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For real. Especially given the nature of the story, which was very focused around them coming out and coming
Yes.
to terms with themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The whole story was about them coming out.
Yeah. Me listening in closely because I want to write a person in my story. I think it's lovely to have
Oh,
trans
yeah.
characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely write outside of your. What would it be?
I don't know. Groups.
Your yeah.
Different little groups.
Your groups.
Yeah. Don't exclude people.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess this all started with Toph, and I think Toph is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Toph is like here's my just opinion as like someone who isn't blind.
Yeah. True.
As someone who isn't blind, I think she's a really good character because she has ways to work within her disability that don't erase her disability.
Yes.
And I think that's important. It's not like she just has a power that makes her not blind. She just works within her power, works within being blind with her power, and it like she's a badass and she's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like some tropes to her narrative of like, they're good. I don't know. She seems good.
Yeah.
I keep writing blind characters. I don't know why.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that, Bones. Um. Your background is important to accurately rate experiences. A gay person knows how to write a gay character. Your character's backgrounds cannot be sanitized. The thing is, as a trans person, I'd be a bit upset if the only reason I was chosen to write was because I was trans. Okay, here's my counter to that: is there is implicit bias in everything, and uh, all those times where you're picked because you're trans to fill the role, um, half the time people are picked because they're straight and cis. Okay, like there is already a bias towards straight cis white people. It's like this is just a counteract of this. And also cis people love to talk over trans people about like what it means to be trans.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't continue.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
Oh yeah.
It's like that study with like resumes,
Yes, yeah.
right? With like black names, like they were less likely to be chosen. There's already biases. People are already chosen because they're white, straight,
Yep.
cis. It's just implicit and not spelled out, and you kind of have to combat that. Like publishing is already really prejudice.
Yep.
And being chose just because you're trans doesn't mean you're a bad writer, because there's plenty of bad writers who are trans. It's just all of the good writers who are trans aren't like given a shot, Yeah.
Don't let people tell you that you're not worthy just because of like you were chosen for like I guess a different kind of bias.
Totally. It's just because they don't recognize that the bias is already there, Like you're already not necessarily the thing about like being like in a marginalized group is like you're already like have like so much extra pressure put on you to like perform.
Yes.
It's like this idea that you have to speak for like all like trans people is like already on your shoulders. So like don't let people be like, well, you're just here because you're trans, or this is just popular because it's diverse. It's like BS.
Yeah.
Get out.
Totally. It's just a way to silence people and like and make you feel guilty for your existence. But like
no bad writer has been published for being trans, despite what mediocre unpublished white dude will tell you. Literally. But plenty of writers are like
are published because they're white straight dudes.
Yeah, with some money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just look at like it was going around of like what publishing paid me, and like you can really like the bias is like so obvious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
If your character is a minority person, that cannot be sanitized to I do not see X, even if for the fact it's not realistic. It's a trope that makes minorities more palatable for the mainstream audiences. Yeah, I get you. I'm gay, but it's difficult for me to write and create an LGBT character. What can I do about that? It depends on what you mean by that. I used to find it really difficult to write trans people because it was like uncomfortable, because I had my own like internalized trans phobias. I brought a lot of baggage. But then I kind of just realized that it's really important for me to like share my stories and share my trans feelings, because I just got tired of reading books that just really didn't get it.
Yeah.
And just had tons of trans people dying. Like that's the issue. is like you go through reading all these trans stories and they go from like it's just tons of trans people dying. It's just really frustrating to see like that be the only experience.
Yep.
Or being murdered. And it's like, yeah, that stuff is definitely part of the trans experience is violence and like suicide. But I don't I don't find it really fun when non-trans people make up a character just to show how tragic it is to be trans. Like, screw off. This is not sensitive at all.
Mm-hmm. Um, this whole thing reminds me of Ripley from Alien,
Mm-hmm.
who so everyone praises Alien. One, it's a good movie, but they always praise it for like all of the characters were written to be played by either like um, actors or actresses.
Yeah.
Where like so Ripley could have been played by a man, but like is played by a woman, and people like say like, man, look at this strong character who
But the thing is, it's centered around motherhood.
right
Like, the whole
the
thing.
whole thing. Yeah, and so and
You couldn't make Ripley a man.
no.
Like, that ruins the whole thing.
For real, and it's always like praised for this, and it's like, what's wrong with having like a woman character who isn't like written to be a man? Like, why is that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you get the not like other girls. Like, there's only two
Yes.
types of women.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's not true at all. That's
Mm-hmm.
it's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't get murdered. You're not really trans. Okay, I kind of get that. It's like the difference between equality and equity. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also just really important for. Okay, here's another aspect of why it's important to hire trans writers. Because there's little baby kids who are trans and want to be writers. And there is nothing cooler than meeting an author who shares an experience as you.
Yeah.
You know, like seeing adults doing things that look like you, who have your experiences, able to do those things, it means the world. And we need trans writers so little baby kids can see trans writers writing trans stories and they're like, man, I want to be a writer. That's really cool.
That reminds me of, I can't remember what the channel's called, but it was like interviews with like older queer people.
Oh, I Am Driftwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Where
love that
It
channel.
was so wonderful to just see like old gays just talking
Yeah.
about their experience.
I think the queer community has a really unique experience where you're very disconnected from your history because you're born into um a you're born into a cis family. Usually you're born into a straight family
Mm-hmm.
and you don't, like, you just have like this othering that happens. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's really interesting and kind of sad because you have to like purposely seek it out. Yeah. It's different than things like race, which is why, back to 9 Point, the comic we're drawing, people say like calicos, like you're being racist against calicos. Like, I don't think that's the term for it entirely. Does that make sense? Because anyone can be a calico.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like two white people. Well, okay, I know like genetic crazy things can happen, but like for the most part, two white people aren't gonna have just like give birth to a black child. Like, that's why it's just different. Where it's like the fur color isn't like your race. I don't know what you would call it though. This is a completely side note. Like, I actually need opinions on like what you call this. I also need opinions on like what do you call different races in fantasy? Like, these are my white questions, okay? Okay. Please forgive my whiteness for a second. Like, what do you call those? Cuz like I kind of don't want to talk about like humans and elves being different races cuz they're almost different like species,
Yeah.
cuz races aren't like so completely different. Does that make sense? The fur it's equivalent to like hair color, right? For me, like when I think about the oppression of like calicos within 9 Point, I
Mhm.
think of it very much in an intersex lens. Like, I've been looking at like intersex experiences, but I also look at like the queer experience. I feel like it's a lot more similar with calicos because you're so different from your family. You're just born differently. Yeah. Race is literally made up. It's not even real. Okay, but money is not real, you know?
Yeah.
Like money and gender aren't real things, but they're like constructs.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not race. It's more like saying vitiligo is ugly. Like exactly. It's similar to that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like really big prejudice. I think it's a lot more similar to like family, clans, tribes. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't think the calico thing maps directly onto any real life marginalization. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's similar to that. It maps on closely to kind of uh, like personally, I don't find like furry metaphors to be like great things in general because like
Mm.
and fantasy ones like nothing is going to directly map, but I think it's a lot closer to queerness uh, and a visible queerness like intersex people, like visibly intersex people,
Mm.
because yeah, intersex is like a big umbrella, and it also is similar to kind of like disability, but not because there's no disability. Cultural groups, multiculturalism, yeah. It maps onto the treatment of people of darker pigments in tribes in Nigeria. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like colorism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more interested in like I'm more confused about like what to do about like the terms for like fantasy races because he always uses the term race, but it doesn't really match up.
Mm.
Yeah. Because like elves are like a completely different species, and it feels weird to talk about them as like a different race. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, species, but species just sounds weird to me. I don't know why. Yeah. I think I'm just looking for a word that's not species because species. Okay, my contention with the word species is it's super dehumanizing, and like if I was living in a world with elves and they were like humans are a completely different species, like that has such vile undertones.
Yeah.
And it feels like it connects with this idea of like making different races different species. So there needs to be like an in between race and species.
Mm.
Species really animalistic. Totally. That's what I mean. It feels very yeah.
Yeah.
They act very uh yeah, it's so savage. True beings, groups, yeah. If you're just using fur patterns, they may be different pelts. Oh no, I'm talking about like elves and dwarves and things now. For 9 point, like I'm just explicitly like speciesist. Because like I don't mind in 9 point where the cats refer to like raccoons as a different species because cats are so awful in 9 point to other species. They call them like wildlanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to be really careful with like 9 point because 9 point's built within Canada, and okay, here's all the thoughts that have gone through my head, because like I tend to write in Canada, and I'm starting to realize like as I grow older, like even writing just like within a fantasy Canada-based landscape, you bring with it like all the baggage of Canada.
Yeah.
Like if you bring all the animals of Canada, you are also bringing all of the I don't know, indigenous lore that comes with Canada, all the Canada lore.
Yeah.
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 So like you have to be like careful with that. And then there's this whole thing where 9 point started out as a very like well, I was just like thinking very small when I started writing 9 point. Um Bright had a homophobic slur in it. Oh my god, Bright is the worst. Oh god. Can we not talk about Bright? Um what's going on right now? No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Where can I read this comic at? We have the first chapter on Etsy. Bones, what what do you do with the native parallels? Um, okay, sorry. What I was saying. So when I was first writing 9 point, I really liked the idea of like cats be I really like the idea of environmentalism. Like, I really care about the environment. I obviously care about ecosystems. And I thought about how cats have kind of been introduced into like ecosystems and they like wreak havoc. So, like, the 9 point cats have very much this energy and they also have an empire. And it's very hard to then just be like, nah, this is just about cats. And not think about the colonial nature of cats and the imperialism of cats with their
Yeah.
freaking empire. So I'm trying to be more aware of like the colonial history of Canada, especially when I'm writing like my fake Canada, but at the same time I'm trying to not just steal a bunch of like native like
Yeah.
tropes and things. Like, I'm trying to like actively avoid and not do that kind of stuff because you have the wildlands, which is what the cats refer to like anything outside of their empire, right? And I
Hmm.
don't want them to be like a direct parallel to the indigenous like Canadian people.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not Canadian, you know the word.
Yeah.
The indigenous people of Turtle Island here. Yeah, cat imperialism is not a topic I'd think I would discuss today.
Listen,
Looks like
it's
I'm voicing the 9 point audiobook. Colonial cats. Yes. Cats are to the environment as Europeans were to the world. Like, it's just an accidental thing
yeah.
that totally happened when I was writing
Yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
well then.
Which is why like I'm trying to like read so I don't like step over people and be awful. And the fun thing about being white is like I can get away with anything, right? Like I mean that like in a shitty way, right? Like
Hmm.
people will often talk about like, oh man, I don't want to accidentally upset the SJWs and have them after me and down my throat. But the truth is, like, usually you can get away with like being terrible, and like no one's gonna call you out for the most part. Like, I think that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, the fun part about being white, like people will talk about like trans people who are like, oh man, the trans are gonna be offended by that. It's like J.K. Rowling still has a career. Like, yeah, that's what I mean by that. It's just, yeah. I have to go get water and stuff, but I'll be back to talk about cat colonialism. Yeah. And I mean that I'm like trying to do my best, but I'm inevitably gonna mess up in some ways,
Yeah.
and like I hope to like keep improving and keep getting better at this kind of stuff. But I know that a lot of the fears of being like not woke enough are like unfounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Google Native Canadians, and the first thing that pops out was Trudeau with a feather. Oh God.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay. So yeah, 9 point. Colonial as heck. I think that's something you always have to consider when building fantasy worlds, um, where you have to realize that like a lot of the fantasy tropes that are built, they're due to like, um, there's history to everything, there's bias to everything, and it's important to kind of like if you're setting something in like a medieval setting, it's important to like do your homework and you see what is problematic about it. Because I struggle a lot with like whenever I'm making a story, because like in fantasy, everyone loves royalty. All the fantasy stories are about royalty, for the most part, about like kings and queens and princes and etc. And but at the same time, I'm like, I think monarchy is bad. So it's like, how do you reconcile that? So yeah, it's always important to think about stuff. And I saw like I saw a tweet somewhere that was like when you're reading like a historical romance and like it's like, oh, this duke his life is so hard and he's responsible for so much is just like eye roll because like, oh my god, I do not care about like aristocracy. Their life is not hard. And then you pick up a fantasy book and it's like, oh, the prince. His life is so hard and he has so much responsibility and you're like, oh baby. Because I guess the fantasy world there's a bit of like abstraction away from like actual problems, which helps people kind of escape into like a fun world. And I guess there's no problem with like escaping into something fun, but it's important to understand that like there's problems to a lot of the tropes and stuff, and you can always do something interesting by like messing around with these tropes. I'm Alaskan Native, but I don't know if that helps, if this is specifically talking about other natives from different countries.
What are we talking about?
People are just talking about like well, I was talking about how a lot of tropes in say like fantasy stories are problematic.
Oh,
like
yeah.
How people focus on like about monarchy and royals in fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, making them all sympathetic and stuff.
The proverbs. Pronouns. I'm he and she's a she.
Yeah.
Don't trash talk about Liz. Oh, I'm slowly loading all the things. Proverbs. He and she. Oh, yeah, cats. But yeah, I don't want to just like make immediate parallels because I find that like, I don't know. Like, I personally find it like, again, I always do the thing where I'm like, okay, think of this as a trans perspective and try to like understand. But like, my opinion is that it's really annoying when something is obviously a trans metaphor, like really blatantly a trans metaphor, and then it's like kind of offensive.
Yeah.
Like it's like, because you're like, excuse me, like, are trans people all ugly caterpillars to you? Like, what? Like, it just gets weird. So like, I'm trying to like research and understand like the histories of things so that I don't just like do a blatant ripoff thing where I'm just like, oh man, I guess it goes like back to the thing where it's like I don't want to see a bunch of stories about like trans people being murdered for being trans. Like I'm sure a lot of people don't want to just see me live out my colonial fantasies. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you don't want another like white savior book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely another thing. Yeah. I think when you're like paying attention to that, like I try to pay attention to tropes, and one of my like key understandings is like I really don't want cats saving wildlanders. I mostly want wildlanders like saving themselves.
Yeah.
Because I don't want like this like this story of like, oh, look at these cats saving them. It just seems really wrong for like these straight up. The number one thing, thinking most of us live in igloos, and some Alaskan natives do not want to be called Eskimos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I've learned about it in Canada. Here's my like baby's understanding. Let me explain what I've learned. This is my show and tell. This is my project. So in Canada, using the word Indian is bad unless referring to specific laws. Like if you're discussing legal things, who legally qualifies as Indian, and that's like the only time you use it, because there's a whole bunch of things like the Indian Act and whatever, right? Like that's the only time you use that. You don't necessarily use the term native because native gets muddied because we're technically native Canadians, because native just kind of means born here as opposed to Canadians who have immigrated here. So you don't necessarily use the term native.
Hmm.
Uh, Indigenous is like a big one now. Um, Indigenous Canadians, I guess. I don't know specifically how to use that one, but Indigenous is more like a global um, designation, I guess, where like it's to help Indigenous communities throughout the world collectively um, work together
Oh, okay.
and stuff, I guess. Um, and then the best thing to do is try to be as specific as possible when referring to like specific like indigenous people and groups. And then within Canada, if you're referring to like indigenous people widely, it would be um, First Nations peoples. It's peoples because there's more than one like nation, right?
Yeah.
It's First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, and they're all separated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Inuit isn't First Nations.
Oh, okay.
This is my understanding. I hope I'm doing well. Grade my homework. India, and they're actually Indian. What if they're like from if you're from India,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
you're an Indian. Like that's
You're an
fine.
Indian person, yeah.
Yeah. The
Wait.
issue is like Native Canadian also applying like the Southern Nation. Yeah, yeah. I don't. I always try to like not say Canadian, but then I mess up. Like that's my issue. It's like misgendering, right?
Hmm.
I'm getting there. Yeah, yeah. Broadly, like Turtle Island is like the non-South America chunk of North America, like because it also includes Central America. It's the whole
Oh.
turtle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
I remember learning that in school. School or Girl Guides, I don't know. I went to a lot of reserves as a little bean, but for some reason I didn't know anything. Like I gotta add that. Like I feel like I never learned anything about like the actual like the shitty history of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely whitewashed. Um, yeah. um, I think I definitely got more interested in like um indigenous stuff because like a lot of I had like a lot of native friends.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like my best friend, like her grandma was at like a residential school and she never learned to talk like any language. And my friend talked about like how hard it was to kind of connect with like her grandmother.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's really crappy to realize like how long it's the residential schools like went on. Like up until like we were born, they were like legally existing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like up until the the year we were born, they
Oh
were
my
still legally residential schools, and continuing on into the future, there's still huge issues with like indigenous children living with their families and tribes.
God. Hmm.
Like 1 in 5 kids in the foster system, kind of deal.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like yeah, and there's a lot of mistrust for like CPS and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff going on.
Jeez.
Oh, what's going on? I had someone think I was a guy at first. I'm sure I'm shocked, but I corrected them and it was fine. But that's my problem. Half my world building is slipping in memes and Rickroll songs as gospel music in my comic. Yeah. I usually don't care about being misgendered online because I'm always mistaken for a man, and honestly, that's amusing. If anything, me and my mask energy. It's true. I did think you were he at first.
Hmm.
I don't know why either.
Hmm.
You just got mask energy. Maybe it's because you're so combative. I'm just gonna say you gave me trans energy. Cause I just don't assume any like I know this is fake, but for real, I just feel like there are no like cis men in my audience.
Okay, I know we probably have some cis men in
I
our
know for a
audience, but-
fact we have cis men in our audience, but almost yeah.
Okay, our cat Amalthea, she loves our blue tongue skink Al, and they like stare at each other through the
Wow.
glass.
Okay, I just want to say that we started the stream asking whether cats were better than dogs, and after all of our talk about cat imperialist colonial stuff, I'm gonna say that cats are in fact worse than dogs. Except dogs are cops, so where do we even
Oh
go from
God.
here?
Hmm.
We had this discussion that dogs are literal cops. So I'm a cis man. Is grounding characters a good method for character design? What is grounding characters? I don't know what that means. All pets are bad. Dogs are manipulated into being cops. Okay, but that doesn't excuse like any cop. Like why are we excusing dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because like you excuse like that doesn't hold water at all.
Hell no.
Paw Patrol dogs, hamsters, hamsters, hamsters. Hamsters are good. Hamsters aren't colonialist emperors. Horses are cops as well, too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, horses are cops.
No one's born a cop. How dare? Exactly. Dogs become cops. Dogs are the good cops. They're not the good cops. Actually, speaking of, I'm in a group that's like trying to get cops out of schools in our area now. I was added to this group, and someone was talking about their daughter who like they do police demonstrations at school, and they brought in a dog, and it really scared her, and now she hates all dogs. So
Oh no.
yeah, so bad dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs are cops. Dogs are Nazis. Cats have also been Nazis, according to Mouse. So
Oh,
I'm
you're
just
right.
saying, dogs and cats suck. They're carnivores.
Hmm.
Ban carnivores. Let's get some Zootopia energy in here. Um, they're taking things away from children. Paw Patrol. Dogs don't realize what they're doing. Come on.
You know what's a really good animal? Bees.
I forgot about Mouse. Mouse. Okay, I read Mouse when I was recovering from top surgery, and it made me like ACAB. Like it was like my radicalization moment. It was just like seeing like the mice. Okay, like Jewish policing Jewish people like complicit in the Holocaust. I was just like, whoa, class traitor. Like, I don't know. I haven't been able to articulate like exactly the feeling I got from like reading that, but I was like, wow. And now I'm reading like about residential schools, and like I'm like, frick the RCMP. Well, like they were like describing like load like okay, I just read a bunch of stuff on like okay, I'm demonetized already, but like the Holocaust, right?
Hmm.
And then like reading like just like the parallels to like what is actually a genocide, right? It's like 100% like it is that's what it is. Like there is currently a genocide in Canada, and up until we were born, there was a genocide occurring in Canada. They're just, barely like any difference here, right?
Yeah.
But it was just talking about like ripping like children away from their families and like packing them onto a train where they're like sent days away from their family, and just like an interview with like someone who would like drive the train down, and I'm like, and just like how haunted he was by it,
Oh, jeez.
and like obviously like oh poor man, like
Oh, well, yeah.
like
Oh, poor baby.
yeah, but and it's like knowing it's not right but not doing anything to stop it. I'm like, oh my god,
Hmm.
like that's so messed up. And like this was happening like while my dad was like alive, like while my dad was like having his childhood.
Oh yeah.
Like this is like what's happening to like my friends like parents and grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That just sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. So I was already ornery before like the BLM like blow up thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was already feeling very ACAB from my reading materials, guys. I was always terrified of the cops, and it took me until this month to realize why. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Fair.
Like, okay, my white experience with the cops is just like they don't do anything. Like,
Yeah.
like they're useless. Like every time I've dealt with them, like they've done nothing for me.
Oh yeah. It's like.
Like I'm just thankful that like I'm not like brutalized or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
like God, what a low bar. Because it's like, oh, we got robbed, and it's like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. There's nothing we can do. Bye. It's
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Okay, cool.
great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, one
And
of
telling
my-
people, telling women to put shirts on. Remember that deal?
Oh, right.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Okay, in our province, I don't know if it's all of Canada, but in my province, mine. I'm feeling really nationally proud right now. Clearly, but in Ontario, you can go topless no matter who you are.
Yep.
Like it is perfectly fine. But like some cops like harassed like a lady who wasn't wearing a shirt.
Yeah, and they
So-
made her like put a shirt on.
Yeah, and then then there was like a whole bunch of topless marches.
Yep.
Where it's like everyone had their tops off. And it just sucks. It's like you can legally do it, but you're still police. Like
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
Cop stopped me in an airport, and when I asked if it were a security issue, he was like, "It's because you're in the United States now." Oh my god, chill. You're an airport pencil pusher. Oh god.
Ugh.
Yeah. I wish I could legally go be topless. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll see people like topless. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, all right. That's a thing you can do.
I'm just like, wow, that takes some courage.
For real. I'm like, dang. I wish I was that.
All cops are
Powerful.
bastards. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Like we don't even get the half of it, and like, yeah, that's why like I think it's like the Indigenous Lives Matter is important in Canada too.
Yeah.
I don't know about the states. Like I my scope can only go so far, but like, like cops are like I'm still trying to understand the Canadian like genocide that's like occurring. Like I don't quite understand it. I'll be honest. Like I know it's the missing and murdered Indigenous like women and girls and LGBTQ, TT. Wait, it's the LGBTITTQ. It's like a big one, right?
Yeah.
It's the big one that's like inclusive, that tends to be used by like Indigenous groups, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, they use the longer one that I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyways, yeah, I've just been trying to understand that, and I know police are pretty like complicit in that because there's like no protections or whatever, right? Like not looking into things.
Yeah. It's a lot of like,
No, there's like a P and an I in it. Like it's specifically used on the missing or women MMIGW LGBTQ. Because I know because I've like looked into like specific like charities like that focus on it. But I know it's important for it to be one of the expanded ones because it also includes Two-Spirit, more like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. Intersectionality and all that fun stuff. We're getting heavy in all our topics all the
We're
time.
getting
It's
heavy
the
this
the
week.
world is
The-
heckin' heavy.
I had a moment when I read about like the trans rights being taken away in the U.S. and I just had a moment of just like I don't even know what just hopelessness.
It's on America's
I
low
don't know.
priority for Indigenous people, to be honest. Yeah. Well, like I was like looking in, like I remember like it was a few months ago. Like there was like a trans activist murdered in Toronto.
Mm.
Like that was rough.
Yeah.
And then like in Canada, it was like there's been like 9 Indigenous people murdered by the police since April.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 And that's why I know like the Indigenous Lives Matter is like important in Canada. And Canada like has huge racism problems. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I hate how everyone's like, "Oh, Canadians are so nice and they're so much better than Americans." When like there's all this like institutionalized racism and systematic problems and
Yeah.
it's sugar coated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get you. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I usually say LGBTQ plus. Yeah. I do too. I just know there's like a specific one that's usually mentioned in like all the documentation with the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls thing. Yeah.
I personally get really tired
Poor
of
people. Agreed.
I get really tired of hearing people say like, "Oh, the LGBT acronym is just getting way too long," blah blah blah, because it's really like dismissive of many. It just strikes me as like homophobic and transphobic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they're like, "Let's only keep to the ones that everyone knows," and it's like,
I'm
okay,
fine
Karen.
with the one. Like I don't feel like it's catching on, but like GSM, gender and sexual minorities. Yeah, like I'm fine with that one, but I just don't think it has as much like it's just not well known enough, and it's hard to like go back on PR. Like, okay, here's something that I learned. Like GLAAD, which is a legal organization for like LGBT people.
Oh, right.
Like I get frustrated. I had like a minor pet peeve only because I just learned it too. So like I feel bad for the person who said it, but they were like GLAAD, and then they did the acronym. But I learned we no longer do the acronym because it doesn't include trans people, but they do include trans people, but they're just going to keep it as GLAAD because it's just a really big famous organization at this point, but they no longer are their acronym.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's like EB Games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think yesterday was really not just trans people. I'm comfy with how much people are ignoring the fact that it hurts disabled people and non-English speakers too, etc. The thing you say. Yeah, the LGBT. I don't know. There's a lot of politics around it. Yeah. Politics. That reminds me of people saying bi people are transphobic based on the entirety of bi prefix instead of doing any reading on what bisexuality is. Okay, I'm for real. I will never understand it. I've tried so hard. I'm okay with. I don't care how anyone identifies, which is such a cop out. I tend to use bi when talking to like straight people who don't understand pan, but I just don't understand why there's a pan and why there's a bi, because I don't think you're transphobic for being bi. Just gonna say.
Yeah.
I just know like transphobic people who hide under the phrase bi, but that doesn't define all bi people, obviously.
Yeah, that's just like the TERFs who hide behind feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're lesbians. We won't sleep with trans people. Yeah. You okay, Bones? You okay, Ursula? How's life? We're good. We're good. We're just sassy.
We're getting heavy in this.
Oh no, it's not that we
stream.
call out of you. I'm glad the thing just remind me of it. I'm not bi anyway. Yeah. I don't know. I like, you know what? Like, I'm like trans ace pan romantic, so being bi does not equal being attracted to men. You know what? Like, I don't want to get into the weeds of it because I find sexuality is just really complicated.
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to like how you personally identify and what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating for people who are like, but it has meanings and stuff, and then they try to police your gender, and you're just like, shut your stupid mouth, please.
Oh, totally. It's so frustrating when I tell people I'm pansexual and asexual, and they're like, you can't be both, and I'm like, you can't
I've heard
be
bi as
asexual.
being like in all genders, while pan is more gender blind. I don't like the phrase gender blind.
No, I don't like that either. That feels like I don't see color.
I don't see gender.
Yeah.
Who cares about gender? Is such like dismissive to trans people who are like, yeah, it's really easy for you to not care about gender, you freaking cis.
Yeah, totally.
Or even like an agender people. It's like, it's really cool that you don't have a gender, but like mine is hurting me. Like it is definitely real. I don't know how I feel about gender. It's a deep discussion. And this is why the cis aren't allowed in to write the stories. Sorry guys. It's really complicated. Yes. Even we don't get it, but yeah. That's why we need more trans stories, because we all have different opinions. I usually connect dysphoria with a disconnect because I'm losing all this stuff. I have denounced labels for myself because I identify as tired of the cis hets, to be honest. Well, that's a label. Loser.
Bones fighting.
Well, I know what you identify as. Furry. I mean, there are pan people with preferences. Well, everyone has preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when people say bi lesbians are invalidating lesbians and bi people. Just let them be bi lesbians. Yeah. You know what? I accept he, him lesbians.
Yes. Love a he, him lesbian.
You know? Because for one, okay, here's my controversial opinion. I think you can be a trans femme AFAB person.
Hell yeah.
Who uses he, him pronouns. I don't care what you do. You do you.
Hell yeah.
And even if you identify as a he, him lesbian, it's not like you're saying, oh man, I identify as, sorry, I lost the train of thought. It's not like you're demanding other lesbians to sleep with you. Yeah. Furry is a label and I denounce it. Sure thing, buddy. Identify with whatever makes you happy as long as you don't hurt anyone. For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Let people use the pronouns they wanna. Like, another part of it is like a lot of trans people, like, you live your life as like a gay man or like a lesbian for a while, and that becomes part of your identity, and you're supposed to like just drop it because you transition like instantly, drop it like it's hot. Like, you still have experiences.
Yeah.
I guess not because like as a trans you were never technically a lesbian, you were always a man, blah blah blah. But like, you know, you still have experiences. You're still allowed to be under that umbrella if that umbrella keeps you safe, shield you from the rain.
Hell yeah.
I identify as a cat. Calico identity.
Yeah.
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 Do you think a trans person can reclaim the word dyke then? I don't know. I don't know. That's hard too, because like, what if you had reclaimed it all your life? Did you go back? Also, okay, there's like a whole level to this, right? Where like, as a trans person, do you think the F slur is not used against trans women?
Oh yeah.
And that like, um, like the I guess the D slur isn't used against trans men because hell yeah it is.
Oh yeah.
Like I think you have a right to reclaim it. Like what trans woman hasn't been called like the F slur?
Oh yeah.
Like
For real.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, it's totally okay to just explore your identity.
The
Like
F slur. Think hard.
yeah. Yep. But yeah, but
I'm
Andy.
so uneducated. Fondue.
But yeah, Andy talking about how like you're having a crisis over your identity. It's totally okay to explore and try different identities.
Yeah, just Google it. You'll be fine.
Yeah. But yeah.
We can't say it. It's a slur. I mean, most of us can say it because we're all have been called it, but like we're not gonna say it because
Yeah.
YouTube would be very mad at us.
The F slur is furry.
Furry. Yeah, I'm gay and I'm homophobic. We exist.
They do though.
Yeah.
They do.
I was a transphobic trans. I was horrible. I'm really sorry. Like I was super transphobic to other trans men because I hated myself. Yeah. They I was also pretty bad because like freaking my ex was a trans man. He was an asshole. First trans man I met. And then my mom was like, trans people suck. Yeah. Oh wow.
What?
I feel like my mom had like some turf thing in her a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember her, like, I was really afraid to, like, come out as, like, a lesbian. Because, okay, I have, like, a gay uncle who's not really my uncle, who, like, does all the uncle things. Like, he was my dad's roommate. And he's a cool dude. I still hang out with him sometimes. He has lots of fish. He has more fish than me. He has a room full of fish. It's like more packed than my local fish store is packed with fish, and he has lizards, and is half the reason I like want to have all these things. Also, I think they're mostly his boyfriends, but like he's interesting. Anyways, um, so I had a gay uncle, so I figured like gay is fine, but my mom talked about knowing like, oh, okay, this is like her words, but she knew a lesbian in college who just hated men, and she was like, I don't know, she like offhandedly was just like, I just think she just hated men so much, and then she became one. And that was just like my, it was like my complete understanding. I'm like, okay, so lesbians are bad.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocker of shocks when I'm a trans man too. Oh, oh God, gender critical. Yeah, for real.
Ugh, yeah.
Browsing that self harmer, self hatred. Yeah, I would totally do that stuff. And then I would be like I'd see other trans people who, like me, didn't pass, and they would complain about like people misgendering them, and I'm like, well, obviously you don't look like a guy at all. Like, why would anyone gender you correctly? I'm like, oh my God,
Oh,
phones. It was just like attacking myself through attacking other people, and it sucked. Like I never would like at these people because I thought that was too far, but like when I was like at home, I would totally think that stuff. I'm uncomfy with reclaims slurs as being uncomfy. Yeah, you don't have to reclaim anything you
No.
don't want to.
No, if you don't like
I used
the
to be
slur,
low key
you don't have
trans
to.
mad. Oh my God, same. I was so trans mad, guys. Bones canceling himself confirmed. Like I can understand it. Like part of it is like dysphoria is so painful. You're like, and then someone's like, I don't have dysphoria. Like, I am also trans. And you're like, no, they're not going to take us seriously. It's like, bitch, that's not why they take us. They don't take us seriously. Like, you can have like the most coherent, completely source backed understanding of what it, of like trans like acceptance, and then cis person would be like, fake. Like, like no one gives a shit. Like,
No.
bring all people up, okay, except pedophiles. Bones was Calvin. I was not. I was before that boy. The bee bomb. Sorry, it gave me whiplash. I'm sorry.
I know. I still do it, but sometimes I like. What is it like? I guess participate in like bi erasure.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, I'll be, I don't know, writing or reading a thing, and I'm like, she can't be bi. She ended up with a man.
Oh, here's the solution. Have more than one bi character.
Listen.
Okay? Like that's no, it's perfect. That is bi erasure.
That is, it is. It is terrible.
Like
and I
you
hate
feel
when I
like
do it.
you feel like you're erasing the bi character. Like, oh, she got with like a man, so she's not bi anymore. Well, they're the one who did bi erasure too. Like, if every time you write a bi character, they get with the straight relationship, like that's problematic. If you only have one bi character, that's problematic.
Yep.
Okay, like more bis.
More bis.
Hi. Yeah. But still, I understand. Like, you totally will look at like, because it's just you're so used you. The problem with most representation is that it's always bad, and the reason it's always bad is because you have one token character who has to speak for all of their of their group. And that's why it sucks, because you're like, well, that's not the bi experience, and the reason it's not the bi experience is because it's not enough bi people. Yeah, okay, there we go. Everyone is at fault. Everyone's shitty here.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not invalid if you are in a straight relationship, a heterosexual relationship. But like the frequency at which Hollywood writing, etc., will be like, oh yeah, I once dated a guy. Like, you'll have a guy who's like, yeah, I totally dated like a guy once. Like, frick off. Like, that is not representation. That is shallow. And like I was saying before, that doesn't ever address like what it's like to be bi. Okay? Like, yeah. Okay, there we go. There's my little cis hets cancel. Bones is unhinged today. Bones remains unhinged. Truth. I can have more straight character at some point question their sexuality. Yeah, you can be straight and questioning. That's fine too. Okay, yes, you can have questioning cishets in your story. If for real, like, just because you kissed a guy once doesn't make you bi.
Yeah.
Because like the whole like issue there is like, you know, just because you've been with women before doesn't mean you're not a gay man. Yeah. You're not defined entirely by your actions.
Oh no.
That's a crappy trope.
What?
When they have one queer character and they're like, I don't want to define what I am. I'm above labels.
God, yes. So annoying.
It's fine for characters that are above labels because, you know, Charlie exists in the real world, but not everyone is Charlie. Can you imagine a world where we're all Charlie? No, okay? Like, stop making that.
I hate that trope because it's always like it's where they want to like queer bait everyone but not upset the cishets who would be upset if there's a gay in their story.
Everyone be Charlie, yes.
Everyone be Charlie.
I'm above labels. Like, it's fine if you don't want to be labeled yourself, but like it's such a trope of cis writers to be like, the ambiguously queer. We got all of them. They're both trans, asexual, gay. pansexual, bi, they're all of them at once because they are above labels. Cha-ching, we don't need to make another queer at all. Screw off. Hey, Ushi, could you keep referring to me as they? It feels really nice. Okay,
Oh, hell
Andy.
yeah.
Hell yeah, we'll use they for you. It's fine.
For real.
We love pronouncing people in ways that give them the euphorias.
Hell yeah.
The trans gay sexual. When people are
Oh my
like, I
God.
can't have a gay person. My cast is too small. Like, honey, my last two comics had 3 character casts and still had gays. Yeah.
Yeah.
You also have to look at the larger body of work of a writer, too, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie is the true minority. They take every LGBT rep they could make. Oh, and it's always like, my parents would never accept me too. It's like, oh my god. Like, I understand. Like, that's just one of those like tropes too, where it's like yes, it is a reality that trans people, like LGBT people, queer people, like all of us, like are at higher risk of being like disowned by our families. Like that really sucks. But like, man, it comes back to that kind of like living out the cis dream of like, oh man, the tragic life.
Oh my God.
It's
yeah.
like every gay person you write has been kicked out of their family. It's just like, can they just have a shitty brother? Like that's it. Like like I'm not asking for everything to be perfect, but oh my god, can you stop writing these people to like
Yeah.
yeah. Really like the way the page looks. Yeah, it's looking cool.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I finally cracked the code.
She cracked the code.
I've been working on these this style of page for so long.
I used to be call me whatever pronouns because gender is a construct. Like I'm some performance art project, but now I get dysphoria when people use the wrong pronouns and use my dead name. Like how dare? Yeah. That was me. Like or I think you know what part of
Ah,
Jesus.
oh my gosh. That was
Oh
loud.
god, are you guys okay? Did you guys hear that? What was happened? Oh my god.
Sorry, my computer audio just destroyed my ears. Got a text message.
It's super faint.
Okay.
Okay.
So loud in
For
our headphones.
us, it like stabbed us.
Oh. Oh my god.
Straight characters having tragic familial backstories is forced to you. I didn't really get what you meant. No, I meant like no, I meant like straight people writing stories about gay people, and like every time they write a gay person, the gay person has like this tragic like homophobic family, and it
Yes.
just ends up feeling like, man, you as a writer sure like writing homophobia, like I don't know. It just sometimes feels like acting out homophobia for the fun of it. Especially it really depends on like how it's framed too, right? Like a similar situation is men writing like assaults against a woman, right? In their story, like I guess triggers here, obviously. But like if you're a guy and you're writing this and you're writing it in a way where it almost feels like erotica, it's like what is wrong with you? Like it just feels like you're acting out something you find titillating. And that's the same feeling I get sometimes when I'm reading a story or watching something and it's like, let's watch this gay person get abused for being gay.
Mm.
And I'm fine with it when it's fanfic and it's gay teens writing out their sob things and like figuring themselves out. But like
that's different.
in like larger media, it's really gross. Okay? Does
Yeah.
that make it sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's age old writing advice. You can use literally anything that isn't assault. Yeah. If you can use anything that isn't assault, don't use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the similar. It's just like it's like you write a story about like a trans woman, and in the end she tragically dies of like AIDS. It just feels really straight, and it's like, I'm not trying to erase the experience that is there. It's just how you write it, and I definitely squint at you if you're like outside of that minority group. Yeah. If you're
Yep.
not a trans woman and you're writing about trans women being assaulted and murdered, it's like squints, especially how you show it. If it's like on screen, like I don't think you have any right to do that. I think I've been thinking about this a lot because there's been a lot of talk about like showing the murder that recently happened. And it's like, okay, we all know what happened. It feels really weird for you to be constantly showing this human life being ended,
Mhm.
like just for sensationalization.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman, Sandman, yeah, that was bad. Breaking news: Bone says Rent is canceled. Rent is canceled.
Ugh.
Trauma porn is not cool. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's just really exploitative. Yeah, that's my opinion on it. And if you're a trans person writing it, I don't care. Like, you do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
Neil Gaiman's fine. Like, Neil Gaiman is problematic, but like, I know he said in the past that he would not do the Sandman thing again. But yeah, it's still shitty that he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a trans woman who gets killed in it, I'm
Mm.
pretty sure.
Uh,
Did y'all see? Okay, what I am annoyed about with Neil Gaiman is just like well, maybe like Azrael and not Azrael, Aziraphale and
Oh,
Crowley
yeah.
are asexually gay together. I don't know. Shrugs. It's
Mm.
like you could have done this.
You
You
had
had-
all the power.
Like especially now, like you could have made it more explicit. Like how dare?
Oh yeah, like maybe when it was first written, you couldn't get that published, but now,
It's just oh god, it was like such queer baiting. Like I couldn't watch.
oh yeah.
I have like friends who are really into it, and that's fair. Like I know it's good. But
Yeah.
I'm just like I just can't get over. Like I think it also just came at a time where it was like Ursula had just read like the lesbian scene that we were talking about earlier. It was just like, oh, I'm just tired of this.
Yeah. We're getting the bleep bloops.
So many bleep bloops.
Yeah. I get so tired of queer baiting.
I love the hot Ratchet and Clank girl.
Excuse me?
She's just so cute.
Oh, you're looking at Twitter.
Sorry,
I was like,
sorry. I
what?
just opened Twitter and it's just like the girl
The cute girl.
Ratchet. It's just like, dang, she cute. I'm such a furry.
Oh my god.
Sorry, that slipped out of me. I like good Omens, but yeah, no, it's fine.
Oh yeah, there's stuff I love that has like bad representation.
I didn't like the
in it.
Ratchet and Clank girl. Well, she showed up right when me and Ursula were talking about how ugly Ratchet and Clank is,
yeah,
and
I
then
was
she
like-
showed up, and I'm like, oh, she's cute.
Totally. I was looking at the Ratchet design and I was like, oh man, like with the new graphics they could have made him like look cuter, and then the cute version appeared. I was like, oh.
Bone stepping straight into the furry zone.
We're already there, friend.
We're living in the
Look,
furry
are you
zone.
seeing what I'm drawing?
Like literally.
Look at this. Look at this beautiful boy.
Did you two finally witness the dinosaur furry game though? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's gay. Who knows? I couldn't say. I'm only the author.
Right.
Just have them smooch, seriously. Yeah, for real. Oh my god, Fado. Okay, I gotta let the boy
Okay.
out.
Maybe we should.
No,
Head
I'm
out of-
fun.
You
I'm
having fun? Okay, let's continue.
Fun. I'll keep streaming.
Okay. Oh, we talked about this before. We've tried reading Beastars. It's just not for us. But it's cool if you like it.
Unless you want to leave.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I don't mind. Keep going, but it's because the dogs are getting restless. I got. Wow. I got this problem where I hate queer baiting with a passion, but since most of my family's homophobic, I look for a show that has it in a way of saying ha to them. That's fair. You know what? That is fair. Legend of Korra is like a bit better. I haven't actually seen it, so I don't know, but I've heard it's like better representation. Than say like the fandom has such cute headcanons. Neil Gaiman is missing out on a gold mine for real. Yes.
Hello.
Guys, why is no one talking about Will Herondale and Gabriel Lightwood? Why didn't they kiss? Why is this not a big ship? Listen.
Madoka ships it.
Thank you, Madoka. Me and Madoka, we're shipping the Gabriel
I
Will.
probably should let her out too. I bet that's what this is about.
We could call the ship Gabriel Will. Gabriel Will.
Sorry about punching the mic.
Punch. Listen. Whomst. Ursula, do you still watch anime? Occasionally. I have watched an anime. I think the last one we watched was like Brand New Animal? Is that the one with the wolf boy? Okay. What? I don't know name. Williel. Listen. June, you understand what I'm talking about. I know you do. Have you seen Haikyuu? No, I haven't. I keep kind of wanting to watch it, though I've never gotten into like sports anime. I haven't even watched Yuri on Ice, and I know that's like what all the gays love.
Quintessential gay. Me. I don't read much or watch much.
June, you understand me. You know where I'm coming from. Listen, you're in this hell with me.
Scream in space, Ursula Gray. Ursula, you're so close to finishing this page.
I know. I don't know. I feel like
What do you feel like?
I feel like it's missing something. I know I need to put in dialogue and stuff, but
Well, why don't you just go to the next page?
that's a good idea. Okay, I'll have to do it off screen because it has to load in from my iCloud.
Okay. Hello, guys and gals and NB pals. It's super good. There's a fan for every minor character, not gonna lie. I can't read. The chat is too far away. I'm sorry, I gotta go pick it up.
Hopefully when the Backstreet Boys reunion tour passes, I can go back to watching anime with the boyf.
For real.
Hell yeah.
Oh my
so
god, my
looking for her.
mom just wants to talk to me.
Gosh,
My mom's lovely.
she is. She's a sweet lady.
She's talking about visiting my grandma now that the hospital rules are loosening.
Oh, that's good.
Or something like that. The comic page looks super good, though, they're saying.
Thank you. I appreciate.
It's probably just like the edges and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna put details in them.
I need to put something on the edge there. I've been struggling with that, so maybe I should take some time one day to.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't do them now and just do them all at once.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
So that they're cohesive.
That's a good idea.
Heck yeah.
I love calling it the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. Makes
so
it less
good.
sad. When does the stream end? When we do. How long is the stream gonna go for this time? I don't know.
I don't know. We're at almost at 3 hours now.
Hell yeah, we're powering through.
Heck yeah.
I have to go to the pharmacy at some point. I'm really scared. I don't know. It just makes me anxious for no reason. It's because I always have to be like, they're like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, says my name, and they're like, "Okay," and they go, and my name's a hyphenated name, so they always think that for some reason the very final thing I say is my name, my last name, and so they can't find my package. And then they look more and more, and then they're like, "Oh heck, it's over here because it's huge, so it's put away somewhere else." Yeah, and I'm just standing there quietly.
Dying inside.
Ursula saw a Karen at Costco.
Yeah, I did. There was so I went to Costco for like grocery trip and they have like a freezer. It's like a chilled out room where they have like all the milk products. And there's like a limit on how many people can go in at a time because of the Backstreet Boys tour. And there's like an employee who stands at the entrance to it and kind of like tells you when you can go in when enough people have left. And I got there and there was like a commotion going on inside, and I couldn't see where the employee was who usually stands at the entrance. And I was like, what's going on? And then she was like, the employee came out and she was saying to someone like, you have to get out of here. It's too many people. You have to leave. Like, it's not good for everyone's health. And then this mom comes out and she had 3 kids with her. And there's a limit at Costco currently where it can only be like 2 customers at a time, like within a group.
Per membership.
Yeah, per membership. That's it. And so like, the employee was like, you can't bring all your kids in here because like it's too many people, and like it's harmful for everyone. And the Karen came out and she pulled down her mask to yell at this employee and tell her like, you can't talk to me like this, blah blah blah. I was like, oh no. See, like, it was good that the Costco like let the mom in with all her kids, because if you don't have like childcare, especially because like childcare is closed in our area right now, like what are you gonna do if you have 3 kids? So like, but it's like, just, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Have the employee watch them while
no, you can't make someone watch your kids though.
Oh, true. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seems like a tough situation, but the mom got very rude. The employee was also a black woman, and this lady was yelling at her during this time.
Yikes. Leave them in the car? You can't. It's
no,
illegal.
That's illegal. Especially because it's summer right now.
Yeah. That's their opinion. What's an opinion? Andy, I read all of your messages. You don't scare me. Yep, that a Karen. Yep. With AC. I don't think you're allowed to leave kids in the car.
No,
especially at, like, it depends on like the age.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Yep, it's just don't do it.
Then we would have seen Karen fighting with the cop outside.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? They're not the ones that let me in the building. I can't repeat my question. I don't want to fill up the chat and wait for you guys to read it. Oh, just at me. At me. Okay?
Come at me.
Okay? Make sure to at me if you have a question, okay? Hey, so question for Bones and Ursula. This is a personal question about my comic endeavors. What do you guys think about monthly or bi-monthly chapter releases instead of weekly pages? It's fine.
Yeah, it's a good strat.
I don't know. Just do whatever works. I just tried a bunch of things. The answer is that I don't know.
Whatever works for your own personal work schedule.
Yeah.
Is good. People also like, it honestly depends on the reader, but I know some of them like to have like a big chunk to read, because otherwise they read one page and they don't feel satisfied. And like yeah, and it's also like reading week to week. You could argue that like it's hard to hold the story together and you have to reread it a few times, like every time there's a new page.
Yeah.
So like, but people also read webcomics that update weekly, so who knows? Just do whatever you like.
I decided I am interdimensional and my gender is too hard to be grasped by humans, so I mainly present as female. Valid. Do you ever get extremely irritable for no reason? Yes.
Yes.
Matica barks.
Extremely irritable for no reason. All the time. Typically there's a reason. Typically the reason is either like bad mental health moments for me or hormones. And it's all valid.
Matica, you can't be in the courts.
Matica.
You're banned because you destroyed the setup last time you came.
Poor Matica. She just wants to be on the stream and hang out with everyone and snuggle on our feet. But she also pulls out all the chords and has the
Dismantles the stream setup.
she has a bark that can shatter windows.
Sonic bark. Remember Sonic Boom?
Oh right. Forgot about Sonic Boom.
Snirk.
Usually it's my hormones. Hormones are powerful, and I think people need to be more empathetic to anyone who is dealing with like a surge of hormones that makes you emotional.
Yeah, but you also can't be an asshole.
Well, yeah. It doesn't excuse being a jerk.
There's two sides to this coin, because I totally agree that people are really mean when you're hormonal, but at the same time, some people are just like, well, I'm hormonal, so I'm allowed to abuse you.
Yeah, I know. It's like a balance where it's like you can't put up with bad behavior, but don't be mean. Don't be dismissive of someone just because they're hormonal.
Yeah.
Woo.
I always refer to them as terrorists. Your hormones.
Oh yeah. And you're diehard.
It's like Die Hard in your mind.
You're
it's
just like crawling
fighting.
through the vents.
Yeah. So
Fighting
you're gonna be
your
a little
hormones.
snippy. It's fine. I understand. You're fighting terrorists right now.
Therapy has definitely helped me.
Yeah, therapy has leveled you out a whole bunch.
Heck.
On the topic of comics, whoa,
Oh
Whoa.
heck. Why not?
that's a little out of left field here. I'm trying to make a comic with watercolors. Ain't no way that I can update very much. The time it takes spooks me a bit.
Listen, this is my whole experience with 9 Point. I'm doing like digital painting, and it takes a long time.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
If you're not that far, scrap this idea. There's time to go back. Maybe do like watercolor like special pages.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Consider simplifying. It's my big plea to you. I'm you from the future. You're gonna regret this. When my hormones are acting up and people ask why I'm off, I just want to die. Oh, that sucks. People are really mean about like menstruation and stuff.
For
Be
real.
real. Like I don't want to dismiss that. But there is definitely like a balance to be had in some regards. Well, okay, I'm saying this as someone who like has menstruated in the past. So I'm obviously like I'm obviously nicer about it than like reading "Am I the Asshole?"
Oh my
and
god.
like
Yeah.
what people like. Oh my god, the way that people treat women. I'm like, oh my god, I understand misogyny now.
I'm having trouble with my story. Instead of humans, there's creatures. I'm not sure if I want creatures to be humans plus one odd feature, like one eyeball, for example, or pre-existing creatures like vampires.
Do whatever you want to do,
Which ones?
not what we want you to do.
Yeah.
Don't focus group your art. Do whatever you find fun.
What puts a fire in your heart?
Exactly. What sets you on fire? I identify as a threat. Don't test me, Uncle Bones.
Danger.
So you use black and white watercolors, so it's very easier to color. Or like you could do like on special pages, like watercolor them and then just do like I don't know. It's your art. If it's really hard for you, I'd definitely reconsider it though.
Yeah. It's a balance, cuz like on one hand, if you really want to do watercolor comics,
We can't stop you.
we can't stop you. If it's fun, do it. But if you're really worried about like getting something out in a timely manner, find something that's simpler. Whether it's just like most pages are just pencil and maybe some ink, and then special ones are watercolored. Whatever works.
Yeah. Just save super good color ones for important pages. Yeah, like at the very least, just put most of your effort into your most important pages.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back. It was a mistake. So I had to explain MLMs to Karens. What? Remember one post on r/relationships when the guy destroyed a plant room that meant a lot to his girlfriend, and he was asking how to get the relationship back to the way it was before?
Oh my god.
Tell him to F off. Plants are everything.
For real. It's like maybe don't betray someone's trust and hurt them that way in the first place.
There's a few watercolor comics, like,
Oh yeah.
I agree. It just can be hard because you have to wait for it. Well, I guess it's a fast drawing one. I don't know. It's because I'm not sure if I should do a pre-existing creature that has magic relating to it. Okay, here's the secret. If you're like asking Mouth Productions, is even if you make vampires, you still have to make a magic system. Like, there's so much take it or leave it with vampires, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you can't just steal someone else's vampire. Okay, every vampire is different in every story. You still have to world build, and so it doesn't really matter if you choose pre-existing or not. That's the fact. That's my secret tip. Just started uploading my first webcomic. It's about gay mafia people. Very cool.
Powerful.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
I don't know. But Al's trying to escape. He needs some water, I think. Gotta clean out his little bowl. Give him his
So he
water back.
Flips over.
Yeah, well, sometimes you get bored. You should go shopping today. Well, we're running out of time on the shopping.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Oh, we should probably go soon to pick up my meds.
Okay. How about we sign off and go do our
Okay.
chores?
Sounds good. I'm running out of my voice anyways.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming and listening to our TED Talk.
Like the stream, you fools. What is
True.
this?
We could get to 69 likes.
Yeah, we're not even
close.
at 69 likes. We're going to end no matter what, but I'd appreciate if we could get to 69 likes.
Hell yeah.
SMH. Goodbye.
Goodbye.